Welcome, councillors, members of the public and staff present in person, joining us online and watching via YouTube this evening. I declare the meeting open at 7:09. Councillors and those present in the chamber are reminded to conduct themselves in a polite and professional manner, keep communication factual, using appropriate language and tone. Council and committee meetings are live streamed and recorded via YouTube. Please, therefore, treat everyone with dignity, respect, and do not use any defamatory or derogatory remarks. Defamation laws apply to the addressees in the public forum. Councillors are reminded of obligations to conduct yourself in a professional and respectful manner under the obligations of Council Code of Meeting Practice in the interest of good governance and to adhere to the meeting equity, including debate on an item which will commence only once we have a mover and a seconder for the item other than the middle minute. The mover has the right to reply before the motion is put to a vote. Raise your hand to indicate you wish to speak, and I will determine the speaking order based on the hands I see them. On the commencement of you speaking on a motion or amendment, please indicate clearly whether you are speaking for or against the motion or amendment. Please ensure that you address the chair only rather than other councillors, staff or the members of the public. Please respect a councillor's right to present an item without interruption. For the efficient code of this meeting, it is not necessary for you to repeat the matters you agree with and raised by previous speaker. It's sufficient for you to say that you agree with the points raised. I remind you all that the YouTube video recording is an official record of council and may be made available to persons upon the request with the Government Information Public Access 2009. No other recordings are permitted at this meeting. Should you ensure that there are no video recordings and also video recordings or photographs taken. In the case of emergency, please follow the instructions of the council staff via the Town Hall foyer and proceed to the excavation area. Acknowledgement of country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the Gadigal and Aboriginal people of the Eora Nation and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. The people of the Eora Nation, their spirits and ancestors will always remain within our waterways and the land of our Mother Earth. Opening prayer, where we have Father Emmanuel Santiago from the St. Thomas Small Catholic Parish of Brighton Sands to open the meeting. Please, Ran. Please stand.
God of love and mercy, as we gather tonight for our Bayside Council meeting, as we accept our responsibilities and duties in our leadership work, grant us your blessings and to our Bayside residents present tonight. In your kindness, may the work we begin bring us growth and harmony into our Bayside community and its people, and secure a human society built on love and peace. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda, councillors, is condolences. I don't have any condolences. Does any councillor have any condolences? Okay. Tonight, councillors, we have two presentations, actually three. There's a presentation award to Dr. Barry Leon and Mr. George Crosslight, recognising 44 years of outstanding service to patients to the Denali Avenue Medical Centre. So I'd like to call upon Dr. Barry Leon and Dr. George Crosslight. Please come up, and I'll ask Councillor Curry to present you with the certificates. I must congratulate you on the length of service you've given to the community. You'll already have a patient. Councillor Muscat had broken ribs, so. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. Hmm? Yeah, also, yeah. Oh, okay. The next citation is student from Bexley North Public School, Mrs. Appet Wiley. This is our third certificate. It's for 100th anniversary for the Bexley North Public School, and I congratulate them. Now, please come up, and I'll ask Councillor Souness. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. Next item is apologies. I only have one apology from Councillor McDougall. If someone can move that apologies be accepted, moved by Councillor Curry, seconded by Councillor Souness. I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Those against, no. Declare it carried. Disclosure of interest. If any councillors has any declarations, if I can have them up on the screen, if there's any.
Just what was declared at the committee in relation to 11.1, item 13, the grants, just non-significant, non-pecuniary, because I'm involved with Bayside Women's Shelter, but it's done by an external panel, the recommendations anyway.
Okay. If we go back to the top. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Okay, I have one. I declare significant non-pecuniary interest in item CS 24-013 on the basis that I'm affiliated to some of the community organisations. And when this item is discussed, I'll be leaving the chamber on it. Further the list. Oh, Councillor Morrissey, do you have a declaration? Councillor Muscat? Councillor? Oh. Okay. Okay, we have that minutes. Secretary, do we have the recorded? Okay. Councillor Fardell, Councillor Jensen, Councillor Naji, Councillor Souness, Councillor Warner, Councillor, we get mental black now. Councillor Wada, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Hannah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. In regards to item 10.1, the draft operational plan and budget for 24-25, including the fees and charges, I'm declaring a less than significant non-pecuniary interest on the basis that I'm a foundation member of the Angelo Anistis Aquatic Centre, but I'll remain in the chamber for consideration and voting on it. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Douglas.
I have two CPE 24.021. I declare a less than significant non-pecuniary interest in item CPE 24.021 on the basis that Peaceful Bayside has been campaigning for the Kamei Greenway, which covers this area, but I will remain in the meeting for consideration and voting on the matter. And the second one is I declare a less than significant non-pecuniary interest in item CPE 24.022 on the basis that I am a member of the Bay Community Garden and a former member of the Fisherman's Club at Muddy Creek and a former social member of the Bayside Community Recreation Club, and I will remain in the meeting for consideration and voting on the matter. Thank you.
Councillor Sidrak.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Similar to you, the community grants, I declare a significant less than pecuniary interest that some of the applicants applying for grants I've worked with over the years, so I'll be stepping out of the chamber for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item is minutes of the previous meeting held on the 22nd of May 2024. If I could have someone move that they be accepted. Councillor Jansen, seconded Councillor Muscat. Any speakers? If not, I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Those against, declare it carried. There's no mirror minute. We're moving on to items of exemptions. Councillor Curry. All right, that one. Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Muscat, Councillor Fardell, Councillor Jansen, Councillor Naji, Councillor Souness, Councillor Warner, Councillor Awada, Councillor Barlow.
10.3,
10.3. Yep.
CPE 24.018,
Which item is that, Liz?
affordable housing option.
11
Oh, it's 11.3, sorry, and then CP, whatever, and 11.3, CPE 24.022.
Yep.
That was it. That's all.
Councillor Hannah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Could I have please 10.5, the Audit Committee appointments?
Yep.
I'd like please 11.2, CP 24.017, the de-amalgamation process.
Yep.
I would like please, no, I won't have that one. No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Douglas. Councillor Sidrak.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If I can have 11.4, the parking management options for the Brighton car park.
Yep.
I think that's it. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
All right, thank you. I have none. Which is the great? Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. If someone can move the paper big. Yeah, moved by Councillor Morrissey, seconded by Councillor Warner. When we have to deal with CS 24013, which is the community grants. That item there, I'll pull that out, and then when we do debate it, Councillor Serek and I will make the chamber. But otherwise, all in favour, say aye. Those against, no. Declare it carried. The first item is the mayoral and councillor fees. Councillor Barlow.
I'll just move that it remains the same this year. I feel everyone's in stress, and I believe that it's a minimal amount, and I believe that we should be showing leadership by not accepting a pay rise.
So Liz, what are you moving? Yeah, no, but what motion are you moving?
The fees remain the same as they are now. There's no
Alright.
increase.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a seconder?
Option 2.
Yep, okay. Councillor Hunt seconds that. Any speakers? Councillor Morrissey?
Go through this every time, so I'll move option 1 as a foreshadowed motion, please.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Curry? Okay, any speakers? Councillor Hannah?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I've expressed my concern at the way this is all handled, not by this council, but by the whole system. And I just feel very uncomfortable about being given a range by an independent tribunal, and then the councillors decide where they need to sit within that range. And it seems invariably that most councils, if not all, just automatically go to the top of the range. That's one of the reasons why I spoke against this last time, and I'll speak against it again. It's not that I'm suggesting that the councillors' fees are over what they should be. I'm just suggesting that the entire system is strategically and structurally flawed. How can you have a situation where you have an independent body determine a range, and it's a very big range for a large metropolitan council, of councillors' allowances, and then hand it over to the council to mark their own exam paper, which is what happens. So that's the reason that I'm against it. I'm not against it because I necessarily think the amounts are wrong. I'm against it because I think the way of determining where we sit is completely wrong and is absolutely ridiculous in my view. So that's the reason for my opposition to it, and to stick with what we're currently on. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Warner?
Thank you. I actually agree that we shouldn't be given a range. We should be basically just, told what the fee is. But given that this is what we're dealing with, I think that the maximum is still not very much. And we have to remember that not all of us are independently wealthy. So some of us actually rely on this money to, for example, pay the rent. And if you think of what rents are in Sydney, they're pretty high. So when you compare that to what this amount is, I think it's actually quite reasonable, if not too low. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Morrissey?
So I'll speak against option 3, which is the motion before us, and for option 1. And again, the theme remains the same that I say annually, that as a councillor, I don't think the word pay is the correct term. I don't think, well, let's just be accurate. We get a stipend? I don't know. What is it at the moment? $32,590 is the current councillor allowance, as it's referred to in the business papers. There's quite a large number of people who may think we earn 10 times that amount, and we come to council every day and make decisions. We do this. The large majority of us are still working, with some with their own businesses. Some have worked their entire lives. We're all different, but it's $32,590, and the percentage increase on top of that is $1,220 over a 12-month period. So I think to encourage diversity across all councils, to encourage different people to run regardless of their political persuasions, we want all types. Everyone is welcome in local government and every little bit counts. So I think that by keeping up with the recommendations, it's going to attract and hopefully retain high quality citizens to represent and advocate for their community. I think that to do this for nothing would be a big ask and will actually attract the wrong type of people who can actually afford to do these sorts of things without any remuneration. So $1,220. So I'm speaking against. I won't be voting for option 1. If that does not succeed, then I will be voting for option 3. Sorry, other way around. I'll be voting for option 3, voting for option 1. You know what I mean.
Councillor Douglas?
I'd just like to share a little story that a good friend of mine shared with me the other day. She was the mayor of Sutherland Shire Council, and she was a single mother with 3 children. And at the current time, the fee was $20,000. And they had to give up eating meat for the term of the council that she was the mayor because she couldn't afford it, because she was on beans and rice. And she did it as service to the community, but it was very, very hard. And so I agree with Councillor Morrissey's point that there, if according to my friends, the pay rises that were incremental were actually, there was a lot of work done by local government, New South Wales, to secure a little bit more pay for councillors, to make it sustainable, to make it attract more diversity, and to enable, you know, women like my friend who is a single mother to actually consider it as an option. So I agree with Councillor Morrissey on this point.
Any other speakers? If not, Councillor Butler, you have the right to reply.
Oh, there's some interesting conversations around here. Independently wealthy, I don't know who that is. It's not me, I can tell you that for sure. And to pay the rent. Yeah. The problem I have with this is, and I had a very good teacher with the late Ron Rathbone. When he started here, no one got money. Nobody was paid to be on council. You did it for the love of your community. You didn't do it for anything else. And that's what went through, and then they started to get pay. I think I got $6,000 when I first started. A long time ago, 28 years ago. But I find that you're not here for the money. It's not attractive. It can't attract anyone for the money. You are here to represent the community. You are not here for whatever goes into your pocket. It is not. So I've consistently say this most times, but I'm not, well, I don't know. And the money that you earned from the council allowance shouldn't be, you should not be relying on that to pay your bills, because otherwise it's, you're here, it's a second job, you've got to pay tax on it. So I just find it strange that, I don't know, I'd love to know who's independently wealthy around this table. I'd love to know. But I can tell you what, it's definitely not me. So
Nor me.
I know it's anyway, it's I've put it up again, and I think everyone's got, you are here to represent the community. That's a bit of a bonus what you get. I mean, okay, Councillor Hannah, it's right, the money should be different, maybe it should be like Brisbane. It's a full-time job. But I worked a full-time, I mean, long hours in a sandwich shop, so it takes a lot of time. I never left the shop because that was what it is. It costs you money when you walked out the door. So the issue here is that I'll be consistent with the fact that for that $1,000, we should be either that or I donate to charity as well. So I feel, anyway, I know I'm going to lose it, but anyway, that's beside the point.
Right, thank you. All right, I'll put the vote. All in favour of Councillor Butler's motion and Councillor Hannah's, please say aye. Those against? I declare it, okay, I declare it lost, so Division's been called. Those in favour, please raise your right hand. It's Councillor Barlow, Councillor Hannah and Councillor Naji. It's true. Okay. And those against, please raise your right hand. So we've got Councillor Curry, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Muscat, Councillor Fardell, Councillor Jansen, Councillor Werner, Councillor Wada, Councillor Douglas and Councillor Cedric. So we have an Andrew, you're abstaining? Or either put the hand up or... Okay. So... Okay. All right. All right, so, Andrew, you're in favour or against? In favour or against? Okay, so you're abstaining, okay. All right, okay, so that's been recorded, so we're going to have Councillor Morrissey's foreshadowed a motion. Oh, I'm in favour, sorry, I'm for. I'm for, it's at 4. All right, yep. So I declare the motion defeated. Now I ask Councillor Morrissey and Curry's motion, foreshadowed motion be considered. All in favour say aye. Those against? I declare it carried. Okay, thank you. The next item is 10.5, the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee. Councillor Hannah, you pulled that out.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just had a question. It wasn't outlined in the report, I don't think, and I was going to suggest, for the sake of, I love this word, transparency, perhaps the fees that the members of the committee have paid should be published. Would that be possible, or is that not possible? Because I read this, I had no idea how much they get paid. I understand they do get paid for the role, and I just thought, if it's possible, I think we should publish what they get paid.
Well, I'll ask the GM.
Through the chair, yes, certainly they are paid. Again, it's not a statutory fee, but is one that is recommended and is similar to other councils. Where we could publish that, I will just need to take that on notice and we'll see what's possible.
Okay. Councillor Morrissey.
I just wanted to note and thank the incoming chair, Mr. Sercombe, for listening to the body of council and to be flexible with the meeting times so that councillors can attend. There is now under the new rules, there's no councillor vote at those meetings. I was nominated as the representative, but it's in an observational capacity. Mr. Sercombe's agreed to be flexible with the times to allow councillors to attend after work hours, i.e. 6:30 p.m. as opposed to in the afternoon. So I think that needs to be called out. It's a good start for the new chair, and so thank him and the committee. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Councillor Hannah, you're moving the recommendation? Are you moving the recommendation?
Yes,
All right,
I
it's
am.
been moved and
Yeah, I'm
councillor-
moving the recommendation, yeah. It was,
Do I
I
have a
just had a
second, though?
question. Yeah,
Councillor
thank you.
Morrissey. All right, any other speakers? If not, I'll put it. All in favour, say aye. Those against, no. Declare it carried. Okay, next item, I'll ask Councillor White if you could chair this item, which is CS 24013, the Bayside Community Grants.
Mr Mayor, I've got a similar declaration that I've been involved in some of the organisations, so I'll be leaving the chamber too.
All right,
Sorry, guys, I'll wait until we get a break.
Where's Bill's mobile phone? Deborah, did you put his mobile phone?
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah, about 10 times.
Sorry.
Did you have it here, Bill?
Oh, yeah. There. Meredith put it there.
I'll wait for you guys, it'll be a second.
Yeah, you can switch. It's only if we've got a pecuniary interest.
Yeah. Everyone's out? Yeah. Councillors, we're on 11.1 CS 24013 Bayside Community Grants 2023-24 Round 2. Moved by Councillor Jansen, seconded by Councillor Morrissey. Any discussion, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Against, declare it carried. Thank you very much.
Get too comfortable.
No.
Thank you, Councillor Wada. Next item, councillors, is 11.2 CP 24017, the de-amalgamation process, including the suggested community consultation program. I think Councillor Hannah, you pulled it out.
I did, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move an amendment to it by adding a point 5, which I would like to read that this matter be deferred for reconsideration by the newly elected council post-elections in September. I don't know if I have a seconder to that.
Yeah, that's been seconded by Councillor Sooners.
Okay, the reason I want to do this, Mr Mayor, is that I want to just shine a little bit of light on what has gone before us and how much money has been spent so far on the actual amalgamation. I was on council when these amalgamations were being first suggested between 2012 and 16. And you will remember, Mr Mayor, that I encouraged you and the General Manager, and to your credit, you both took up on that suggestion, to engage constructively with our neighbouring councils, being Cogra Council and Hurstville Council. And in fact, at the time, Mr Mayor, I made reference to the fact that the then experts report, which was the Sampson report, talked about things like population in the year 2030, talked about things like football teams, demographics, and in particular talked about things like natural geographical boundaries and being able to drive from one side of the LGA to the other within a certain length of time. And when you looked at all those things in that experts report, the Sampson's report, the amalgamation of Cogra, Rockdale and Hurstville, in fact, fitted perfectly. Now, Mr Mayor, I encouraged this council at the time, and it was not long after that experts report came out, to get on the front foot and engage with Cogra and Rockdale. And Mr Mayor, I remember, quite frankly, you did your very best to bring Cogra and Hurstville to the table, and there was great resistance. And I think from memory, the main resistance came from Cogra. And it wasn't until the 11th hour, it wasn't until they finally realised that something that was going to be imposed, that they decided to finally discuss it. But by then it was too late. Mr. Mayor, the politics had taken over by that point in time. Now, we then had a forced amalgamation that was resisted very, very strenuously by the botany side. And I don't blame them for doing that because it was a forced amalgamation. But there was a very significant amount of money spent from the botany side challenging in court at several levels the actual forced amalgamation. So we've got to take that into account, that there's already been court challenges in respect of it. Now, Mr. Mayor, I think the state government gave us $20 million when we amalgamated. I think that was the figure.
I thought it was 12.
It was 20, sorry,
Yeah.
It was 20, of which approximately half had to be distributed directly to community organisations. So yes, it was 20 in total.
All right, well, I do remember that there were very significant costs associated with that amalgamation, and I think that when it was tallied up, I think as a council, wasn't it determined that we were out of pocket something in the order of 17 million? And that was in addition to what we got from the state government. Now, 20 million and 17 million is 37 million. Now, it's not necessarily 37 million from here, but nevertheless, it's 37 million from ratepayers and taxpayers of this state. So what I'm saying to you, Mr. Mayor, is that putting aside the legal costs that were spent by botany, and they failed in their challenges, putting those aside, going in has cost something in the order of 37 million. Now, we have done a desktop business case, which admittedly has a very wide range of what it would cost to get out, but that has identified something in the order of between 33 and $50 million to get out. So what I'm saying to you, Mr. Mayor, is that you have to weigh up the amount of money that has been spent getting in and the amount of money that has been spent to bring the two councils together and make it work, and I think it's actually working quite well, and say to yourself, well, is it worth spending another 33 to $50 million to actually split it back up? That's why I'm saying that this is really a matter for consideration by the newly elected council. And given that we are now only talking about a survey, right, taking the pulse of the residents, and I understand that we're talking about engaging an external consultancy, and, you know, they must be rubbing their hands together because this is going to cost something in the order of $25,000 to survey 400 residents. What I'm saying to you is at this point in the election cycle, and bear in mind, this has only been a 2-year, 9-month term. We could have actually surveyed our residents right at the start because there's nothing legislatively stopping us doing this. But it didn't happen. We had radio silence. This wasn't even raised. This has only come up in the last few months. So there's no reason why it can't be deferred, and it can be considered by a newly elected council, and they can determine whether or not they think it's worthwhile doing it. Because, Mr. Mayor, there's one thing that I want to get this council doing, and that's focusing on costs. I want it to run like a proper business accountable to our ratepayers. And I can't for the life of me justify starting to head down a path where we possibly might be de-amalgamating and costing the ratepayers between 33 and 50 million. Now, Mr. Mayor, I want to tell you a story. And this will I just want to demonstrate how focused I am on costs. And I'm not going to mention the bank because I don't want to embarrass anyone here. And if I do happen to mention the bank, you know, it's likely to cause a spike in the share price because, as you know, Mr. Mayor, I'm becoming a very significant influencer, not in this chamber, but outside. Not in this chamber, but outside. And Mr. Mayor, last week, I actually went into the branch of a bank And yes, people actually do go into the bank. And believe it or not, there was a bit of a queue in the bank, and there were people actually being served by what they used to call tellers. They don't call them tellers anymore, they call them customer service representatives. And I said, well, I don't want to see the representative, I want to actually see the customer service officer, not the representative of the officer. But anyway, that's another story. And after waiting in the queue for a relatively short period of time, I was greeted with a big smile. And I said to the teller or the customer service representative, I'd like to withdraw some cash. And yes, Mr. Mayor, people actually still use cash. And the bank actually stocks it. And I said, do you have any $100 bills? And she said, yes. I said, I don't want any. I just wanted to know whether you had any. But I withdrew some cash, Mr. Mayor, and she counted it out and she weighed it and she gave it to me. I signed for it, she gave me the cash. I said, Miss, you wouldn't happen to have an envelope, would you? She said, yes. I said, you know, I haven't bought an envelope in 20 years. I get them here. She gave me an envelope. So I got the envelope for the cash, and then I looked at the cash. I thought, well, I said, look, you wouldn't happen to have a paper clip, would you? I haven't bought a paper clip in 30 years. So she said, gladly. So she put the paper clip on the bundle of notes and gave me the envelope. And I was about to leave, Mr. Mayor, and I thought, I think I can go one better. I said, you know, I haven't bought an elastic band in 40 years. And she looked at me and she got the elastic band and she said, you know what? Now you really are stretching it. That is my focus. That is my focus. So even though we're only talking about $25,000 to survey 400 residents, to see whether or not we should de-amalgamate, it all comes down to controlling your costs. That's why I'm suggesting that we defer this, let the newly elected council make a real determination based on whether or not it's economic, the dam will do it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Werner?
Thank you. I've just got a question to clarify this. Are you saying to defer number 1 to 4 immediately, or are you saying that we still do the community survey and so on and then defer it? So if you could please, because at the moment the way it's written is we still do 1, 2, 3 and 4.
I'm suggesting that we defer all of it until the newly elected council can go on the agenda as an agenda item when the new council's elected.
Councillor Morrissey?
I'll just like to foreshadow a motion that the original recommendation by the committee be endorsed.
And seconded by Councillor Curry. Any other speakers? Councillor Sooners?
A climate of financial hardship, aside from the fact all the elastic bands are disappearing out of the branches of the ones that Mr. Councillor Hanger attends. The problem is, though, that I've seen in the community lately, there is hardship in the community. We all keep on talking about affordable housing, the rate of increasing costs in the community in terms of food and fuel and rates and rents and all the rest of it. And the rates is one of the ones that we can manage. Rates, we end up going to Mr. Mayor, the appropriate places and say, okay, we've got a program, we need an increase, which is a CPI increase, which adds to the increase in cost to the community again. It adds to our rates that people pay in the community, and it creates more angst. We've putting pressure on the community as it is now with this proposal now to de-amalgamate. If you want to call it a political football, you can, but let's not call it a political football. Let's call it something the community wants. And we're going to ask the community whether they want to de-amalgamate, but we're not telling them the exact cost. The exact cost will be phenomenal. The exact cost will be tens of parks that we can refurbish. The exact cost will be hundreds of potholes we can fix. The exact cost will be the footpaths that we've got a program which is lingering into the 40 or 50 years. I've lost track of how long it takes, how long we've programmed to finish our footpaths in our area. They're the basics in the community. The items such as fees and charges, they will keep on trickling on. Regulation costs, illegal parking, that'll trickle on. People can avoid that. But rates they cannot avoid, they have to pay them. This movement is what we're asking people to make a decision on and be involved in, and de-amalgamate and split our community again into two. Have the us and them, that's fine. If they want the us and them, it comes at a significant cost. It's not just increased rates, it's the loss of other services. Great, let's split up. But all of a sudden, we've got to split all the equipment that we have in our depots. Some's got to go here. Okay. Things start to get older. We'll get back on the depreciation schedule that we've been talking about over the past 4 or 5 or 6 years. It's going to start to grow again. We need to start thinking properly, and as Councillor Hannah says, stop looking for opportunities to add more burden to our community. Now, the last amalgamation, when people were here in 16, became a political football. The proper fit was, in my opinion, and we were touting that at the time, and I'm sure most councillors around here would agree to this, is an amalgamation of Rockdale with our adjoining neighbour on this side of the fence, so to speak, with Cogra and possibly Hurstville, but that didn't work because the political power brokers at the time said, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay, let's draw a line. We are where we are now, but what's going to happen to the so-called new version, Mr. Mayor, the new version of Botany? What's that? What does that mean? What does that entail? A small council is going to be gobbled up by Randwick. A small council is being gobbled up by City of Sydney. What's going to happen there? We're not thinking forward. We're not offering these opportunities to the community to say, hang on a minute, it's going to cost this. We're not going to get a pool in Botany because we're de-amalgamating. We're not going to get this park. We're not going to get that field because we're demerging. It's a fallacy of composition. We've gone so far that conversation should have happened right at the beginning of this term. If people from this council had the courage, now they're bringing it on as a political football.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Is this a point of order, Councillor Curry?
There was no legislative pathway to de-amalgamation. The Liberals brought in the de-amalgamation policy. What they proposed at the time was not a legal pathway. It is only since Labor has come into government that the local government minister has created a legal pathway which has opened an opportunity to give people their say. And that is what we've always been about, is about giving people their say.
Okay, yes, thank you, Councillor. I know the pathway wasn't there, but the conversation could have been brought up in our communications with our community. Say, okay, we don't like the merger, and I've heard it only recently that people don't like the merger. That's fine. Leave that aside. I know that the legislation has come to the fore, and I know that no councils have taken up the option or the opportunity to demerge. There's one I heard Coonabarabran wanted to demerge, but that fell on deaf ears with the minister, so that didn't progress either. So, Mr. Mayor, again, I support the changes that Councillor Hannah has brought up, and I suggest that we do allow the new council, given there's only very few weeks left of this term, let the new council pick up that ball and run with it if it sees fit to run with it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. State of origin tonight, that's what.
Councillor Morrissey?
Look, there's nowhere on the screen. I just want everyone in the room to focus on what's in front of us. It's not there's no scaremongering. Everything has been published. The team in front of us did an amazing job internally to give all councillors and the public an initial view of what it may look like. So we all know that. It's public information. We have as much information as is available to the public. What's in front of us, which is our job, is to allow people to have a say. We've heard a couple of speakers already talking about this gobbled up, gobbledygook, just words that don't reference anything that's on the screen. Item 1, we note the information. Thank you. It was an outstanding job by the team in a relatively short period of time. Number 2, give our community an opportunity to have a say. Now, so many councillors, if not all of us, have advocated at some point for our community to have a say. That's our job. Number 3, that a Have Your Say page be developed to support the consultation. A number of councillors are huge advocates to have a Have Your Say page. It's about giving our community a say. And that to cater for the entire community, actually make hard copy surveys available so everyone is included and has an equal opportunity to have their say. This is not a question tonight of whether we de-amalgamate or not. The residents between now and October are not going to change largely. We'll have a few percentage points and people will move in and out of the community, but it's going to be the same residents. And as Councillor Curry pointed out, there was no pathway to do anything. So you could, even if you went to the community a year or two ago, let's just assume that the outcome was, yes, we want to investigate further. Even if we got 100% support from the entire community, there's nothing that we as councillors could actually do because there was no legal framework and pathway to complete that. So this question about why is it now, why is this political football gobble, whatever, like, that's not what we're voting on. That's not what this motion is about. This motion is simply about giving people a say. The cost, it's in the papers, is $27,000. The residents, the current residents, will be able to form a view for the incoming council. So kicking it down the road, it's, you know, I remember, and I don't like to go back to the past too much, but last term we deferred so much stuff and were criticised for kicking the ball down the road, to use that. Let's just focus on what's in front of us, which is giving our community a say. The history that was discussed by Councillor Hannah, and I certainly respect Councillor Hannah, but it's irrelevant to what we're talking about tonight. What's done is done. Everything is on the public record. We know that the costs are known, with the whole clunkiness of the forced amalgamation is known, but it's been dealt with. And the entire time, from 2016 until now, aside from a plebiscite in the form of botany, there was no way, even that happened, there was no pathway forward. But there was no pathway to do anything with it. This is giving our residents a say. That's what I'm asking councillors to focus on. If and only if the matter progresses, that will certainly be in the next term. Nothing's going to happen this term except an initial view from our community. That's the intention, to give our people a say. Then the incoming council, whoever they may be, can decide and agree, on a pathway forward. So what I'm asking is for councillors to support what they've supported 99% of the time throughout this term, is simply to give people a say. And we've got a pathway to give people a say. We've got a plan, multifaceted, inclusive plan to give people a say at a relatively affordable amount. And that can then set up the incoming council to take the matter forward or deal with it as they see fit in that day. So I will not be supporting a deferral, and I will be supporting and asking for everybody's support on the foreshadowed motion, which is the original recommendation by the committee. Thank you.
Councillor Barlow.
I'll just make a couple of comments. I mean, to me, I said straight out, happy to de-amalgamate, but not 1 cent has to be costed to the ratepayers deserve it. But I also have asked quite a few times, what's the problem with the people from one side always whinging about it, but they can never give me the exact answers of what it is, except their lawn doesn't get mowed or there's rubbish in the gutters. So I haven't really found out exactly what the problems are. But, you know, like I look at, and the one thing I've always worried about is, even today, if I see someone, say at the Christmas party or something, we had all the money. No, you didn't have the money, you had no money. It's proven by this draft, former City Botany Bay Council, that the issue is, and I have made, I think, 2 times a notice of motion, when we amalgamated, and this is what I feel the botany people still, some believe me, but not very many, we had 60 million cash. Botany Council had, you did have 127 million in reserves, but you weren't allowed to touch that. You
Point
only
of order,
had,
Mr. Mayor. Once again, we're talking about history and public information. I asked Mr. Mayor to focus the debate on the motion before us, not financial information that is publicly available and has been debated numerous times. We should be dealing with the matter before us, which to have give our community a say, not talking about financials, which has nothing to do with this motion or the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Butler, if we can focus on the report and the original recommendation.
anyway, right. I just feel that I originally thought we were going to have a survey, not to have your say. It was going to be, is it going to be a survey like the one we have for the community, or is it something different? I'm sort of thought it
I'll
was
get General Manager.
not hard copy or anything like that.
So, as I understand the discussions that we've had so far with the councillors, there are a number of components. There will be a Micromax independent survey of 400 residents, phone survey. That will give a plus or minus 4.9% accuracy rate. Additionally to that, as we often do with our Micromax surveys, we allow a broader representation from the community through having the same survey available on a Have Your Say page and the same survey available in our libraries and customer service centres. When you get the results, you'll have the statistically valid results, and you'll have the opportunity for people who are passionate one way or another to have had their input as well.
Okay. So in other words, we've got, so how do we, well, they'll either decide that they like the result of the survey, or they say there wasn't enough, you know, assuming there wasn't enough people. So I feel, and that's going to cost money. Is that, how much was it roughly? 25,000, 27,000. So I cannot support something where we're not, and this, okay, when will the results of this survey come out? Before or after? Because the election's only, I think we've only got 2 meetings, haven't we, or something?
Councillors, depending on your decision tonight, Micromax will be ready to start probably tomorrow or this week. We would anticipate that at the July council meeting, we could come back to you, not with the full data set, but with some sort of progress, at least, as how it's been going over that month period.
Okay, so in other words, you can either run, so it's still up in the air, and I wish now it had been done as a year ago or more. I feel, I know you said there's no legal pathway, but the whole problem is when the legal pathway was discovered and legislated, the Minister of Local Government said, well, I'm not going to pay for any of this. And that had come from the Premier as well. I met him somewhere at a function. So, in other words, you've got a legal pathway to go that way as long as you pay, your ratepayers pay, where the non-legal pathway was the government, the state government was going to pay. So the Minister for Local Government has moved the goalpost. Yes, you've got a legal pathway, you go for it. You can do whatever you like. Now, Cootamundra and Goulburn were given permission to amalgamate. They can't
Point
do
of
it.
order, Mr. Mayor. Same point. We're now talking about Cootamundra and Gundagai and Coonabarabran, about what has and hasn't worked and the cost. Can we please focus on whether we're going to vote to give our residents a say or not? Thank you.
Councillor Butler. Yep.
It's not Cootamundra, it's Cootamundra. It's where James McDonald has got a aeroplane. All I'm saying is that, yes, they're going to have, if they have their say and they say, yes, we're going to do it, where are you going to find the money? Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy to de-amalgamate, but if it doesn't cost the ratepayers 1 cent. And that's, you've got to focus on that, because they might just think we're going to do it. And I feel very sorry for the staff, because they have done an amazing job. As far as I'm concerned, I think we're one of the most successful amalgamated councils, and everyone should be agreeance of that. And I'm just saying that, anyway, I can't support something when I know there's going to be a cost, and then there could be even, then how are you going to pay for it if you suddenly go, oh, you beauty, we can de-amalgamate? Where are you going to go from there? You're going to say the ratepayers, oh, we've got to find 50 million because the government's not paying. So as far as I'm concerned, it's just a furphy. You're just playing the game for whatever.
Thank you. If any other speakers? If not, Councillor Hannah, you have the right to reply.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I don't resolve from this. As far as I'm concerned, we don't spend $27,000 at this point in the cycle. It's almost like an early election federal cycle, 2 years, 9 months. We've had ample opportunity to survey our residents, ample opportunity. We didn't need a legislative framework to survey our residents. And I've got to say that I have not spoken to one resident, not one resident that has suggested to me that de-amalgamation is a good idea. And if you like, I can bring all 3 of them in here and you can interview them directly, Mr Mayor. Interview them directly. Interview them directly. This should be deferred. This needs to be considered by a newly elected council. Councillors here that are rerunning can run on a mandate, can run on a platform, can do what they want and see whether or not they get support. They can put it on their election brochures. But as far as I'm concerned, there is no way in the world I'm going to be voting for $27,000 at this point to be spent on this. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. That closes the debate. All in favour of Councillor Hannah Tunis's motion, please say aye. Those against? A division's been called. Those in favour, please raise your right hand. We've got Councillor Douglas, Councillor Hannah, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Werner, Councillor Souness, and Councillor Nagy. Those against, please raise your right hand. Councillor Sedrak, Councillor Awada, Councillor Jansen, Councillor Fardell, Councillor Muscat, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Curry, and myself. I declare the motion defeated. I'll now put the foreshadow amendment, moved by Councillor Morrissey, second by Councillor Curry. All those in favour say aye. Those against? No. I'll declare that division became. I can't see it from here.
You've got to go through really slowly.
What are we checking?
The last division, they haven't captured the names properly.
Oh,
And so what they just want to get the boxes sorted. And then when you comment, then it's going really, really slowly.
okay.
Slow.
Are we ready? So we put the
The division, they call it the division for the second one now.
okay. There's a division called for the motion. It's moved by Councillor Morrissey, second by Councillor Curry. All those in favour, please raise your right hand. So we've got Councillor Curry, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Muscat, Councillor Fardell. I'll go slow down. Okay. Councillor Jansen, Councillor Werner, Councillor Wada. Cedric and myself. Okay, I've got to go slow. I've been told to go slow. Okay. Those against? Councillor Hannah, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Souness, Councillor Naji. Have we got everybody? And Councillor Douglas has abstained, which will be, have we got everyone? Okay, thank you. I declare the motion that was moved by Councillor Morrissey and seconded by Councillor Curry is carried. Thank you. Next item is CPE 24016, affordable housing options, paper and an updated evidence base. I think Councillor Butler, you moved it.
Can't get onto the computer. All I wanted to know was to say that it's just a worry that we keep, people believe we're going to build affordable housings that they can buy. I want affordable rental housing options because then it covers the cost of, it covers the fact that the people don't misunderstand, because the way it reads, everyone says affordable housing. Well, we're going to have affordable housing. We are not having affordable housing. We're having affordable rental housing. And then I found in my cleaning up, 2009, State Environmental Planning Policy, affordable rental housing. So I believe that the government is wrong by promoting the words the way it is, and I'd like us to be able to amend it or write to them, because it's totally confusing, and residents do believe they think they're going to get a cheap house. So I'm just saying that could we have notes the updated Bayside affordable rental housing. Yeah, but-
Okay, it's been seconded.
Okay.
Any other speakers? Councillor Barlow, you have the right to reply, but no one spoke about it. So
No, did someone mention that they want the rental in it? Has someone seconded it? Has someone seconded it? No one seconded it.
Yeah, no, Councillor
seconded
Morrison, second.
Okay. So it's just that you've got to put rental in there between affordable rental housing. I don't know, possibly we have to ask the director if it's permissible to do that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd suggest you change point 3, because that refers to the strategy that council will be doing. The document referenced in point 1 is a document prepared by a
Okay,
consultant, so we can't really change the name of that one. But 3 is the policy that council's looking at preparing, so you could name that as you wish.
Oh, so, okay.
Just put it in.
Just put it in
Take
point
it out of
3.
one.
Take it out of 1 and put it in point 3.
You want it in everything going forward, don't you?
Oh, yeah, okay,
So I
yeah.
think we'll just add
Okay,
rental
all right, okay.
as a blanket for everything we produced.
Are you okay, Liz, with the, it's on the thing? All right. If there's no other speakers, I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Those against no, declare it carried. Next item is 11.4, CW 24-009. Sir Joseph Banks Amenities and Car Park Update. Moved by Councillor Curry, seconded by Councillor Morrissey. Oh. Oh, I haven't got a, I haven't got mine. All right, sorry about that. Who pulled out CPE 24-0022 Muddy Creek?
And I've sent,
No.
just with the Muddy Creek one, it was just an extra addition to it. But the car parking is increased. I've got the wording was put in there, was sent to governance. And I haven't got it with me now, but it was basically increasing the parking to the south. Because when you look at it, we have no idea what we're going to do with that big concrete slab. So you make it, you build it for excessive parking. I mean, it won't be excessive. You don't do it later on. You do it at the beginning, and that's all. I did speak to the director about it, and we agreed that we just make 90-degree parking in the master plan on the southeastern side, so that you've got. It could be a bit too much, but I don't think so, because you've still got people who will come in with their kayaks and they will have a car. So I was just concerned that you develop a park without enough parking.
I think,
Sorry.
Yep.
I think it's very difficult to make a decision on this without seeing a plan or seeing a map about to show what the effect would be.
I also agree that it's very difficult to make a decision on something that's without seeing the impact on the overall design. And we have to also take into consideration that a very large percentage of the green space at Barton Park has been taken over by parking. It's we don't want all of our green spaces taken over by parking. We do want to actually retain those green spaces for recreational activities and also for nature. So I think making a decision like this on the fly when we've had a committee, the decision has been made. I think if we are going to do this, we need to take it back to committee and see a proper plan redrafted.
Get 0.5 past tonight and we'll bring the rest of it back next month.
All right, okay, can I make a suggestion? I've got advice to say to move stages one to 5, and stage number 6 will be brought back to,
Number 5.
which one?
No, everything other than number 5 be brought back next month.
Oh, okay. What about 6?
6 we need tonight.
Okay, so we take split 5,
Yeah, we
And they'll
keep
come-
5. Yep.
and they'll come back to council next month.
Could I explain?
Yeah, I'll get the general manager to,
Sorry, through the chair. There is no issue with us deferring consideration of the additional parking and incorporating that into a plan that you could look at next month's council meeting. We can certainly do that. There is one part, though, of the recommendation which talks about allocating some funds from the asset maintenance reserve so that council can do the works required to make the waterfront safe post the exit and the area being vacated by the fishermen. So we do think that that would be better not deferred for the month so that we can get on with those works. The sooner we can do it, the sooner we can open it up safely for the public.
Is it possible that we could pass 1 to 5 and just have number 6 come back to the committee? I think given how long this has taken to get to this point, this term of council, it would be good to progress this as much as possible.
so 1 to 5 and 6.
I'll move that I'll defer part 6 to come back to the committee, because there is a plan and it's not taking any green space. We're actually using the bitumen that's already there. So I'll move that it's part 1 to 5 and part 6 is deferred to the committee.
Through the chair, if I could just suggest a small amendment at part 1, where if you are endorsing it in principle, because you'll want to finally endorse it when you've seen the impact of having additional parking or not, so that we don't have to endorse it and then re-endorse it next time.
Yep, that makes sense. You happy with that, Liz? All right. Okay, so we're voting on 1 to 5 and 6 will come back to us at the council, next council meeting. All right, I'll put it, all in favour say aye, those against no, declare it carried. Okay, next item is Sir Joseph Banks amenities and car park update. Councillor Curry. Moved by Councillor Curry, seconded by Councillor Jansen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This was discussed extensively at committee, just around the positioning of the toilets, and I went and did a bit of consultation with community, and I'd just like council's support to defer this matter for a month for a site meeting, because when we actually looked at it, you enter the park, and as most of you have been, or you've all been there, it's an amazing park. It's got a pond, it's got a playground, it opens up to this beautiful natural environment, and right at that entryway, we're going to put a toilet block. So that once I was on site and really reflected, it's not the right place for it. We've got to keep that beautiful natural environment, and then look at some other options of where the toilet. So if everyone's happy to defer it to next month and let the team. So yeah, so if we can change the motion to that we defer it until next month, subject to a site visit where a more suitable location for the public amenity can be determined, please.
Okay. It's been moved that this item be deferred and reported back to the council meeting in July. I'll put it all in favour side. Those against no, declare it carried. Okay, next item is CWA 24.013, Parking Management Operations, the Boulevard Car Park. Councillor Cedric? You've moved it? Yeah. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Basounis?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to be really brief. Thank you, massive thank you to the staff. As we know, Brighton is right in the heart of the jewel of Bayside, so to speak. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Anyway, coming back to this, the number one issue that we get in Brighton is, and especially with this car park, is parking. And so I just wanted to thank, the councillors, the staff, and Councillor McDougall, who's not here, he was working, we were quite worried about this motion and how we'd find a solution. And I think the solution has been found, and it's excellent in that it's a 3-hour car time. It's free, you enter, you don't have to pay a cent. However, if you go over 3 hours, you will be charged. And you'll be charged through the cameras, which is great, which means it gives the shopkeepers and the residents that flexibility. And even better, for those people that were worried about losing their car spaces, those units on Trafalgar and Boulevard streets, they still can park after 11 p.m, no problem, it's all good. So for the residents that reached out that had concerns, I want to thank them, and it's been a great result and well done. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Basounis?
My question is, Mr. Mayor, if they park at 9 p.m, do they still get booked? So at 9 p.m, give them 2 hours so they can get in there much earlier. Well, yeah, but the camera turns off at 11. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. All right. Yep. 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 Well, thank you, Councillor Hannah. All right, any other speakers? If not, I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Those against no, declare it carried. We're now on the notice of motions. Okay, the first one is 12.1. Have your same map for identifying and addressing potholes and road repair. Moved by Councillor Curry, seconded by Councillor Jansen. Councillor Curry?
Oh, thank you, Mr Mayor. We've hit that time of year where we've had the greatest rainfall since when? So the potholes are erupting, and look, I want to acknowledge the team get out there as quick as possible. We've just got roads where there's a lot of heavy truck movement. We've got a road maintenance plan. So I just want to say we appreciate the team as soon as they're reported and go out there as quick as possible. We just want to create an opportunity for people to actually put their feedback into a platform, and then we can track the feedback. We can also see where roads who may not be on our work plan but have deteriorated significantly, and that then draws attention to us. And as councillors, it also gives us an opportunity to say, can you feed it into this portal? So we've got the evidence then to go to council and say, 20 people have reported this road is not at the standard it needs to be, and then it can be revisited as to where it is on the priority list. So, but just thank you to the Director of City presentation. They've been out there fixing the potholes. So just encourage everyone to keep reporting them, because we don't want to end up on the top 20 list ever. And we've avoided it to date. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jansen?
Thank you. I echo that as well. And this motion's also about weaning people off using Snap, Send, Solve. There seem to be a lot of bots on social media that jump in there straight away and say reported on this third-party app. We know that that's not as effective as reporting it directly. The see something, say something, report it has been great, but this is slightly more targeted specifically to address those pesky potholes we're having at the moment. So, and I do echo the fact that they've been attended to very quickly when they're reported directly. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Any else? Councillor Barlow?
Just a question with the see, I found by accident to see something, say something, report it, a yellow thing that was on Facebook. I didn't know anything about it. I don't know if the council's been advertising it. I did send a text with a photo and said this is like at Snap, Send and Solve. So apparently have council now got their own reporting system, not the map, but this other?
Yes, through the chair, yes. That was developed about 18 months ago. It is advertised on every version of our e-newsletter. We've done a series of Facebook posts, and I think it's sometimes on our printed newsletter in addition to that. But we will keep pushing the message out, because obviously it hasn't reached everyone.
No.
And we do really want to push people towards our own version rather than to a third party.
Because I did try to use it, and I thought I'll have to have another go at it. But yes, I had no idea that you had it. So I think it's up to the councils to promote it as well. I don't know how you get into it. I just saw it by accident on the Facebook page. So I'm not sure how you even do that, but hopefully that'll work. And yes, I've actually got a pothole report tonight. I'll go cut through it tonight.
Yes, I also have a pothole to report as well. But I just wondered a question about the back end of this. So if somebody drops a pin on an interactive Have Your Say map, does that then generate a CRM customer request? Because I wasn't aware that that happens normally with, like, say, the Hooning hotspots or the flooding hotspots or the jet ski hotspots. Does it actually then generate a request directly to the staff?
We would love that, the chair, but at the moment, no, it won't be that sophisticated. It will be built on the same model as the Hooning map, but it's something that we monitor. So it gives us the data around where are the problems. It creates a pattern so that we can see where the problems are, and perhaps things that aren't on our radar will become much more visible. But it won't eliminate the need to still create CRMs.
Just asked a question about the machine that's going around checking. How does that work? I don't know whose department it is.
Councillor,
It is department.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we have a rolling program of asset condition assessment. About every 4 years, we go through all the asset categories and do an assessment. So this year, we are doing roads and footpaths. So it's quite high-tech equipment, uses cameras and all kinds of sensors. There's a van driving around with multiple cameras on it, and there's someone driving around on a quad bike with equipment on it as well. So that will collect data across the whole LGA for all roads and all footpaths, and that helps us identify which roads need to be prioritised in the resheet and the patching program.
Councillor Howe?
If I could just make the comment, take the opportunity to congratulate the Director of City Presentation, because I've got to say that every time, I think he's the Director responsible for it, every time I've reported a pothole, it's been attended to almost instantly. And just take that opportunity to thank him and his staff, because when he does do it, I do send an email back straight away. I don't say thanks, I say tar. But anyway, what I don't know, I don't know how much influence we have over Transport for New South Wales, I think it is, that's responsible for the state roads, whether or not we've got anything that we can put some pressure on them, because I have reported 2 weeks ago a couple of extraordinarily large degraded sections of roadway, one on Stony Creek Road, not far from my house. It's actually very dangerous. Cars and trucks are swerving to miss it and are likely to go into ongoing traffic. And they do have an interactive system where you can go and you can drag the thing and you can pinpoint it exactly. It instantly gives you a reference number, which gives you a nice warm glow, but then nothing happens. Now, I even followed it up a week later with a phone call, and I got it confirmed. Yes, I can see it. We've got it here. And I said, well, can you tell me when you're going to action it? Because it's dangerous. It's not only dangerous, the people in particular that are on Stony Creek Road, when the big trucks hit it, it sounds like they're unloading. It is incredible, the noise. And there's also one on just after Marsh Street, or a couple of them there that have been reported that are really bad. I mean, these are really high traffic areas. So if we can just take that on board, I don't know what influence we've got over the Transport for New South Wales with these state roads, but I think they really need to get their act together with these dangerous ones. But congratulations to the Director City Presentation, because I think his team does a great job with this. Similarly with the footpaths as well that are lifting and all that sort of stuff. They get onto it really quickly. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any other speakers? If not, I'll put it. All in favour say aye. Those no, declare it carried. Next item is Councillor Barlow's notice of motion. It's been moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hannah?
Look, I've just written this because I've been trying to do it for a while, but I think 11 years ago it was asked for by a local resident, and we could not get any action from any of the previous government. Andrew Constant, the former Minister for Transport, or whatever he was, Transport, never refused to come. I think every mayor that came refused to come to the party, and it is quite a dangerous intersection. I know someone said someone was killed, but they were killed because they weren't walking in the pedestrian crossing. They were up the road a bit and walking between the cars. So I'm just looking at that. And the other one was that the clearways installed several years ago and these roads be reviewed. Now, we fought and we did get, originally the Transport New South Wales wanted 24-hour clearways both sides. We got clearways, but not alternate, you know, income, morning trip peak, afternoon peak, it's both peaks. So it was just that they review that, and I know that the Minister for Roads, John Graham, has been there, he's seen the traffic, and we've got our two local members, it's part of their electorates. They border on Harrow Road, Forest Road, so I'm just trying to write to them and see what can be done, because the traffic is appalling.
That's true. Any other speakers? If not, I'll put it. All in favour say aye. Those against no, declare it carried. Next one is 12.3, notice of motion by Councillor Douglas, in relation to Brighton Sands and Community Hub. Moved by Councillor Douglas. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Werner? Oh, you have the floor.
Thank you. I come before you today, councillors, with a heartfelt plea on behalf of our community, a plea to support the establishment of a new community centre that includes a modern library at the base of the proposed redevelopment of the Brighton Sands car park. This initiative is not merely about constructing a building. It is about investing in the heart of our community, fostering education, culture and social cohesion for generations to come. It's about investing in our community's future, creating a space where everyone from toddlers to seniors can learn, grow and connect. It's about a sense of togetherness that transcends politics and unites us in our love of knowledge, culture and good community, where children can eagerly explore the wonders of literature and science, where teenagers can find inspiration to pursue their passions, and where adults can discover new skills and opportunities for personal and professional development. And by gosh, this council does libraries well. I found on the Ella list this week a lovely review about the Rockdale Library. Rockdale Library underwent a huge makeover, it says, and totally redefines what you think a library is. For starters, the kids section looks like something out of a Lewis Carroll novel. There are lots of spaces for children of all ages, lots of vibrant colours and lush greenery. They can find a nook to curl up with a book and be lost in their imagination for hours. Libraries are also safe places for people experiencing domestic violence, people who experience sensory overload, who are homeless, people with stresses at home, teens and students struggling to access technology or to find a quiet place. Even just people with young kids wanting to get out of the house when it's raining. During the current term of council, work has progressed on the redevelopment of the Boulevard car park. The plans for the car park focus on improving parking availability, creating a rooftop destination, and augmenting community facilities into a central location. This motion asks that council, in handing the baton to the next elected body, sets clear expectations about the delivery of this very significant project, and that it be designated as a priority for the next term. With the closure of both the baby health clinic and the small part-time library in Brighton, Brighton is due for a review of its community facilities and for council to nominate this as a priority. This term of council, numerous requests have been made to me and other councillors, I'm sure, about the status of the Brighton Sands Library, both for young children to access books, especially children in early childhood, and older residents who use the computer access at the library. A new modern flexible community library / community hub on the ground floor of the new car park would create a beating heart for the community. It would provide a safe, non-commercial space for people of all ages and abilities, making the whole precinct more attractive. In the short term, mobile library services and council-supported street libraries could augment what is needed by the community until a permanent new, suitable and modern facility is built in Brighton. In the longer term, connecting a community hub with safer streets and activated laneways would provide an important opportunity to revitalise Brighton Sands. With many high-rises around Brighton, the reimagining of a larger playground or community square at Hesselhouse Reserve would also create a bigger place for locals to attend to. The new playground there is already very well subscribed. Within days of it opening, it was flooded. Flooded with people, I should say. Flooded with young parents and children. It's a delight to walk past. This improved Hazelhurst Reserve playground, if extended, could also be a place that caters for our teenage girls. A place that's safe and visible and gives them a space in society that too frequently omits them, like a swing park. Basketball courts, skate parks and playgrounds overlook an important demographic, teenage girls. A burgeoning design movement is trying to fix that. There aren't enough spaces for teen girls who are less likely to use basketball courts and skate parks intended for adolescents and run the risk of harassment or worse when they appear in adult spaces. Making spaces for girls means rethinking which age groups need to swing and climb and how to encourage physical activity, and not just about playing sport, but how to make a safe, sheltered place for outdoor conversations. This is just one example of how we can reimagine our urban centre, create more spaces for the diversity of people, to grow the beating heart of Brighton as a place for people, play and learning. So I hope you support this motion today to support more hubs for our community in Brighton.
Any other speakers? Councillor Sedgwick?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. This motion, I'm definitely not against libraries, and I think Rockdale Library has been a great success. Plans for the redevelopment of the Boulevard car park in Brighton have been spoken about for decades. For decades, ladies and gentlemen. And we're now talking about converting part of this redevelopment in one sweep motion, to make it a library. We have had relentless bombardment from residents, from the community about car spaces in Brighton. That is the number one issue. Number two issue is the Hoons. But number one issue is parking. There is an insufficient amount of car spaces in Brighton, hence the redevelopment of the Brighton Boulevard car park. This motion to put a library is a massive mistake in Brighton. We only have a library a few kilometres up the road at Sans Souci. We also have another library at Rockdale. And we're saying right now, in a place which lacks public amenities, our bus systems, our rail systems, we have nothing down there, and we're saying we're going to make it a fluffy library. I'm sorry, let the residents know I'm against it. Because I'll tell you what, if it's about votes and Councillor Sedgwick is against it, then I'll take that on. The community, whether it be the shopkeepers, how many shopkeepers in Brighton have gone bankrupt, have closed their doors, and now we're saying we want to put a library to forgo our car spaces. We should never, ever, this needs to be a community resource under control by government, under control by local government, and it's got to stay as a car park. We have had this debate numerous times. The only issue that we've got with the Boulevard car park now is how are we going to fund it. But creating a library where youth from all walks of life, elderly and so...
Mayor, point of order. I just wanted to clarify, because I did say it in the speech, but maybe it hasn't been heard. It's not about removing a car park. The car park is a pre-existing proposition that's been brought to this council. And in that proposition, there is a rooftop bar, there is flexible spaces, multiple levels of car park that increase the value of car parking, increase the amount of car parking.
Mr. Mayor, what's the point of order?
But the existing
Mr. Mayor, what's the point of order?
Proposal already has a community space.
Mr. Mayor, what's the point of order?
The point of order is
Mr.
that
Mayor, I'm asking
I
through
think
you.
it's
If
been
she
said-
doesn't speak to
it's-
me, I'd rather have you.
It's been said that I'm asking to remove a car park proposition, which is completely not factually correct to what I said. So the point of order is I feel like I've been misquoted.
Don't know.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, when we build libraries, and there was massive contribution, and I know the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Awada, was pinnacle in Rockdale here, we looked at how do you get to the library? What amenities are there? What schools are around there? It is you're putting you're road blocking a street that is so tight, the boulevard right there, right behind all the shops. You're making this cafe precinct and now you want to put a library in it. It's not fit for purpose. It's not right. If anything, Mr. Mayor, I will put, can I put a foreshadowed motion or a subsequent motion that if this is really going to be looked at properly, that this should be done at the next term of council. This should not be put on the cards right now, and that we need to have proper community consultation. This is not just a fluffy idea that someone comes up with and says, hey, let's put a mothers group, let's put a library, let's put this, let's put that. This boulevard car park, ladies and gentlemen, we have spoken about it for so long. So please, let's not rush into this. I foreshadow that. Yeah, well, that'll be good. I foreshadow that this discussion and debate of this library and these 10 bold moves, I don't know what that is. Whatever these 10 bold moves, I thought there was 7, but we'll say 10. Yeah. That they should be brought back after the next council meeting, Mr. Mayor, and that this should not be looked at now whatsoever, and we should focus on the real core business of what we've got to do in Brighton, which is the car park, which is parking, which is the Hoons. And just for your information, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to the Hoons and the speeding, we had a massive blitz by St. George Police and Superintendent Paul Dunstan on the 22nd of June. I want to commemorate. I want to thank them. We have done an amazing job with the Hoons. Let's now fix the parking. We're looking at fixing the paid parking or being fined if you overpark. So let's fix it.
Just a couple of comments. Yes, at all times there was to be a library in Brighton, but in 1995 I still have the documentation where it was pushed through by certain councillors. Yeah, you're one. Yeah. And we ended up with a library that was not fit for purpose because the floor hadn't been strengthened when it was built. We're stuck with all this building called the Moat Avenue. It was actually over, the independent consultant actually said, do not approve it with the parking above ground. Now, I feel that this has been misinterpreted. The car park will still be there, but we're going to have ground level something, like shops. We're not having a car park on the ground level. That you don't waste the ground of any street for parking. That is for shops or for street, anything that way. So that's a I think that's been misunderstood. So yes, it can be looked at because it's only in the grand plan. We've still got to find the money. We've still got to do a lot of things before we even think about it. And at all times, I've been here too long, haven't I? Terrible. I've got to mention I've been here this long. But all times, and the Mayor will remember, there's always supposed to be a library in Brighton and a community centre, which both of them really aren't fit for purpose of the way they were built. So I think this is just putting this on notice that maybe this is an exercise of something could be done in that area. And that's all. I think that's what it means. It's not, we're not committing ourselves to anything. And I do believe, I'm glad that they're doing the ID recognition, because that's what they've just put at Spotlight. I drove down there and I went, oh, but they charge eventually, but technically when that was approved, they weren't allowed to do it. It's not in their DA conditions to have that there. But that's a long time ago as well.
Any other speakers? Councillor Werner?
Yeah, just wanted to make the point that the current design for the Boulevard car park actually includes spaces that are not for parking. So it includes, maybe a restaurant or things like that. I think it would be a lovely idea to have a library there. I think it makes the space more accessible and, for a range of people in the community. And so, I would support this motion. Thanks.
Okay. Any other speakers? If not, Councillor Douglas, you have the right of reply.
I'll just start with a question for the director. So is there in the existing plan a pre-existing space designed for some sort of community access on the ground floor?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's been a number of options put to the property working group and also to council over a period of time. They have included, some of them do include a community space on the ground level, and some show that as potentially being a cafe or some other retail or commercial use. But there is a space on the boulevard that has at times been shown as a community space.
So one other question. So if we were to proceed with this motion, which gets the council to consider the options for a community space on that lower floor, would that actually reduce any car parking?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the area that was shown is not the entire ground floor. It's just the part that faces onto the boulevard itself, and that I don't think that's ever been shown as car park. It's always been shown as another use. There is no endorsed design at this stage. The plan is actually with the architects now to incorporate the feedback that was last provided by councillors, and that will be coming back to council in the new term. So at that point, council could make a decision as to what that space is used for.
So the origins of this motion I bring before you tonight are because of many residents asking about the Brighton Sands Library and the existing state of it, and can it be reopened, and the fact that it's not really fit for purpose. It's like, you know, the space that we have above the car park at Mowat Avenue is also not fit for purpose, and we desperately need a heart in Brighton. We don't have a plaza, we don't have a community centre, and we do have Hooning. We all know that. And we have worked really hard as a council to address the Hooning. But we also need to, it's not just about removing something. We're also here to vision up the kind of future we want, the kind of placemaking we want. And that might be, let's tackle the Hooning over here, but let's also inject conviviality, community, space into our community, into our places. And that's why people love the trial closures of Bay Street. You know, why we love the Greek festival, because we get to go out and we get to see our neighbours, and the kids get to play, and they might get to chalk on the street or blow bubbles. And that's the kind of space that we all want to live in, a place where we can run into our neighbours, where we can sit and have a cup of tea, or we can just have a yarn and it doesn't cost us any money. And that's what we're talking about here today, is creating a space for people in Brighton. Not just a commercial space, not just a place for cars, which at the moment really do dominate the space, but a non-commercial, lovely heart and soul for Brighton. So yes, let's fix the Hooning. You know I want to do that too, and have been working hard with you all to do that. But let's also create the spaces that we want to create. I've actually find it a little bit offensive in Councillor Cedric's speech that he chastises learning as fluffy, that he chastises families and mothers groups. As somebody who had some really great support through mothers groups, at times when you're really socially isolated, it's so important to have spaces for women to get together. So having a male councillor chastising that, when I know how important that is.
Mr. Mayor,
The point of order.
the point of order is, Mr. Mayor, I hear what Councillor Douglas is saying. I have not chastised her or said that these things are negative. I just merely say that that location is not right for that. I'm not talking about her personal or what happened to her in her life or her hatred for something. I don't want to deal with that. Mr. Mayor, if she can just stick to the topic. I'm asking for community consultation. I think that's what Councillor Barlow constantly talks about. That's what Councillor Douglas constantly talks about. It's not attacking anybody. I'm sorry, I'm passionate about this. I know people worry it always about the cost, but now all of a sudden cost doesn't come into it anymore. Mr. Mayor, just stick to the topic. This is not a victimisation card about women and against women. I'm sorry. Mr. Mayor, can I point of order?
Point of order, I don't think she's imputing anything negative.
Point of order, can,
Yeah, okay. Let's no, but hang on. Okay, let's we're getting off the track all over the place. Let's focus on the notice of motion in relation to the Brighton Sands Library and Community Hub. So if we can quickly,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is about having your say. It is about community consultation. I will read through the 4 points. Options for community-based amenities be developed for the site of the Brighton Library, including the possibility of extended Hazelhouse Reserve for an even better play experience. And these options be the foundation of a community. Have your say. Point 1. Council be provided with information about library initiatives that have been introduced and planned for the operational year 2024-2025 and beyond to fill the service gap caused by the closure of the part-time Brighton Library until a more permanent solution is in place, because people want to have library services in Brighton. The plans for the redevelopment of the Boulevard car park include facilities that reflect community expectations for a library and community hub, and that it be included as one of the 10 bold moves for the next council term. Now, if you would like me to add something to the motion, which is around having a have your say. It's already, well, I mean, I'm just doing my best to give the community an option here. I think it's been misrepresented that there is no way that this is in one foul motion, whatever sweep motion, taking away any car parking spaces. We've heard that from the director. We're not going to be foregoing any car parking spaces. This is about creating a vision for the area as a local hub for our community. And it's one that I hope that we can put politics aside tonight, please, and do something as a local myself who goes to these shops every week and wants to be with my people, who cares deeply about my community. I'm here tonight representing them and hoping for a place for our families, for our children to come together.
okay, thank
Sorry,
you.
Mr. Mayor, I apologise, and I do respect there has been a right of reply, but we didn't get the foreshadowed motion seconded or have a chance to speak of that. So I'm happy to second that, Councillor Cedrac's motion, and
Okay,
seek
then-
your agreement. I'm not trying to steamroll anyone here, but normally in past we've been talking to both at the same time. We missed that opportunity. Can I talk to?
I'll allow you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to play out. I just, from my perspective, this is the Boulevard car park. It's been going on for decades, but certainly for the last 2 terms of council that I've been here, and to bring this late in the day, I respect the intent of providing community spaces because that's what we're about. We've also got some commercial realities around that site as well, and it is not so clear as to the intent. So as to where this is going, there's been talk of a ground floor and a non-ground floor. The ground floor is very valuable, and we have commercial and long-term financial obligations to our community and sustainability as well. So for that reason, I don't support the motion in its current form. I think we really need to understand more and tease this out a little bit more to understand what the intent is before we say, well, here's this thing that's been on for 2 decades, and on a Wednesday night when the State of Origin's on, all of a sudden we're talking about putting this and changing things. So I'm not trying to make light of it, but it's not just a simple, we're not renting out a shop here. We're actually, like the Botany Pool and like the Muddy Creek and like all the other things that we've done, this is quite a big decision, and I do not think we should take it lightly. So I don't want to dismiss it. I think there's huge value in ongoing dialogue and debate, but that's the reason I would be supporting a deferral of this issue so we can better understand and perhaps work with Councillor Douglas and the community to understand what those expectations are so we can have a united front and agree on what that might look like. Thank you.
Okay. He's speaking on the
I'm
foreshadowed.
speaking on the foreshadowed. Look, I understand about the community needs, but what we're forgetting, I know the director mentioned about not losing car parking spaces, but at the same time, he did mention that the architect is looking at the design of the ground floor. So we're not quite sure what will go in there. And we preempting a library to go in there in space. What I've got to point out, when people were talking about a library to replace the old library in Brighton, we didn't have the Rockdale Library we have today. I mean, the Rockdale Library we have today is the best library in any, I mean, it was the best thing that's happened in Bayside with the Rockdale Library, and it's not that far from where we have the old library in Brighton. So I don't think I would never, even after the plans come in, I would never agree spending money on another library that's only about 15 minutes walk from the main library in Rockdale. So I think, and I do agree with Councillor Morrissey, it's pretty early now. We haven't even seen the outcome of the experts about what's been suggested for the ground floor, even though we're not going to lose car parking spaces. And I don't think, I mean, it is a good initiative for, you know, the community and getting some feedback from the community, what they'd like to see on the ground floor. But I think it's too late to put that motion through, and it's only reasonable to actually have that deferred till after the September election, and then we could collectively look at that and see what would be the best solution for the ground floor. And it's not really to discount what you've put there in the 4 points, but it's just too early to really decide on what needs to go in there. So I'd be voting for the foreshadowed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So I actually think that it's kind of two separate motions. Like the first part of it is about the, you know, Hazelhurst Reserve and looking at what library programs are currently available or for the year, you know, 24-25. And then the point 3 and 4 are about the Boulevard car park. So one way forward could be to postpone 3 and 4, but to still retain number 1 and number 2, because they're not actually related to the Boulevard car park. So based on discussion, I wonder whether the mover would accept changing it, accept an amendment to pass number 1 and number 2 and defer number 3 and number 4.
Speakers, Councillor Douglas had the right of reply. I guess it's up the way I see it. It would be the foreshadow amendment if they were to include options 1 and 2 to keep the debate live.
In my view, it's such, you can tell by the confusion and discussion, it's a very complex issue that I don't see we're going to resolve through a debate tonight in a way that is going to be considered, you know, carefully considered. So my view is to maintain it in its current, speaking on the foreshadowed, just to defer it and revisit it at an appropriate time, but not
Okay,
discounting
fine.
the content contained within the
All right,
motion.
no problems. Thank you. Any other speakers on the foreshadow amendment? If not, I'll put the original motion. All in. Yeah. Okay. All in favour say aye. That's Councillor Douglas's motion. All in favour say aye. Those against? Okay, then I declare, there's a division called. All those in favour say aye. Show your hand, sorry. For the original motion, yeah. Okay, so we've got Councillor Douglas, Councillor Barlow, and Councillor Werner. Those against, please raise your right hand. Do we get everybody? I'll read it out. Councillor Curry, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Fardell, Councillor Muscat, Councillor Jansen, Councillor Naji, Councillor Souness, Councillor Barlow, Councillor Awada, and Councillor Cedric. And Councillor Hannah's an extension. Okay, I declare it lost. I'm in favour of the foreshadow amendment. So I'll declare it lost, and then I'll put the foreshadow amendment now. All in favour say aye. Those against, no. Declare it carried. Okay, Councillor Douglas, your notice of motion on drainage on She Sells development. Councillor Douglas, you're on. She Sells. She Sells.
I will turn my microphone on, thank you. Seychelles beachfront apartments and townhouses on the Grand Parade are under construction and groundwater is being drained from the site through temporary plastic pipes along the road. The groundwater goes into a drain directly onto the beach and into the ocean at Lady Robinson's Beach. This is causing ongoing community concerns. From the note from the General Manager, Council is not the authorising body for the current dewatering of the site. The licence was issued by...
Do we have a seconder? Sorry. Councillor Ware, sorry.
The licence was issued by Water New South Wales with an expectation that the dewatering would cease once construction of the basement was complete. This motion simply asks that Council provides a full report as soon as possible to the relevant committee in regards to the draining of water from the Seychelles development onto Lady Robinson's Beach and make a summary of the report available on Council's website for public information. The report is to include an explanation of why the works being undertaken require the drainage of water onto Lady Robinson's Beach, what testing has been done of this water to ensure it is safe for unfiltered drainage into the ocean, what state government departments have been consulted and provided approval for drainage of water from the site onto the beach and into the ocean, and what reparations are being done and how often to ensure the beach is not damaged by the drainage and who is covering the costs for these reparations. If there are any delays to the construction of the development and when drainage will be complete. And I hope that this will answer the many, many questions from community that we're getting as councillors on this ongoing issue. And hopefully there will be some news in here that allays some of the fears around the toxicity of the water with the off-putting smell that's going directly into the ocean. Thank you.
Okay, any other speakers? Councillor Awada?
Yes, sorry. Look, couple of things in this report. I mean, point 5, if there's any delays to the construction, I mean, council doesn't have any control over what the builder is doing on the site. As far as the drainage, I mean, my understanding is we're not the authority, and my concern with this motion is we are giving more work for our staff to do that we're not involved in. So what I'd like to ask the Director of City Futures, Mr. Barber, to explain. My understanding, these would be in the conditions of approval about the testing and the water, and I'm sure that's not restricted to this site, whether it's near the water or being built in Ward 2 in Arncliffe. Ultimately, it's going through the stormwater, and that stormwater will eventually be exactly in that same location where that development. And I do understand the concern of people that have no idea about the testing of water and the approval process. So I do walk along that side. It was quite interesting the way they've actually run the pipe so it doesn't go on the road, where it's going straight into the drain. And I think the average person would go past and say they're pumping water into the ocean, and they get concerned, which is understandable. But for someone who knows about it, I think they have to go through a lot of, I mean, you've got the EPA, you've got Sydney Water. So from the Director of City Futures, in our conditions of approval, have we covered that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the development has a 3-storey basement car park, and that goes down below the water table into an aquifer. And that wasn't anticipated entirely when the development was approved. And so a dewatering licence has been issued by Water New South Wales. That's the government authority that issues those. And it does include conditions. There is a requirement for testing at least monthly. The water is actually treated before it leaves the site. Those test results are submitted to council also for review, and so we have copies of those monthly water testing results, and our own staff have reviewed them, and the water quality is acceptable to be discharged into the stormwater system. The council has also issued an approval because they are using our stormwater infrastructure for the discharge of the water. but the actual dewatering is a Water New South Wales approval. The expectation that license runs out on the 1st of July 2024, and the developer is expecting to have not to need to pump water after that time, which is only a few days away. Their advice was once they reach first floor level, they don't need to be removing the water anymore. The building will be stable enough on its own structurally, and the pumps can be turned off. So we're hoping within the next few days that will be the case.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Cedric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple questions. Thank you, Councillor Douglas, for bringing this forward. I know that the community has vocalised all over Facebook. This issue has been really, really active. It's quite obvious. Mr. Barber, through you, I know that there's been a lot of correspondence with myself, with other councillors, with key stakeholders about this issue. I'm just worried, like Councillor, the Deputy Mayor Awada said, in regards to creating another report. Have we given enough information in the correspondence that you've sent out to myself, to others, and so forth, to be able to, I guess, to answer some of these questions? One, that Councillor Douglas is asking for, and that we're without creating another report. Have we given this information already? Question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have received quite a few inquiries about it, and there's been a number of responses provided back through the Mayor's office and directly to constituents. I couldn't say that everyone's received all the information, but I think generally speaking, people have asked similar questions and we've provided that information to them.
And so then, do you think we need a report to analyse or go through this again?
No, Mr.
Dan?
Barber, ignore that.
No.
All right, any other speakers? Councillor
So
Morrison?
just in summary, what I'm hearing, and I'm not familiar, I'm broadly, high level, but not familiar with these things. From what I'm hearing, most, if not all of these questions have either been answered or information is available. So isn't it a matter then perhaps of simply making all the information available to interested or all councillors through the councillor portal, or whoever the community is asking for it? I think if the information is there, it's available, it's outside of council control, they have got a licence, it is being monitored. This is, I'll use the term loosely, but business as usual for developers. If you look at any drain around a development site, particularly if it's more than 1 story below ground, and it's happened in Ward 1 for years and years, this is business as usual. And I think absolutely the community is entitled to know what's going on. I don't support the motion because I don't think we need a report coming to council. It's pretty much proactively, potentially a proactive thing from council office to say, here's it for here information for all councillors, please share this, it's publicly available information. Would that be an alternative solution?
Through Mr. Mayor, I do have the answers to all the questions that have been asked here. We could put that in a memo and put it on the council's portal if that is what the council wants.
Thank you. And then, yeah, so potentially, may I suggest, Councillor Douglas, rather have this turn this into a question on notice, because the information's already there. There's no need for a council report and staff time there. Or alternatively, you may wish to commit to sending all the information out from tomorrow onwards and thereafter, and therefore there's no need to have staff commit a report and go to a committee and go through those motions.
Okay, Councillor Douglas?
Yeah, thank you for your feedback, councillors. So over the last, however long this development's been going on, I would have received or seen hundreds of complaints about this, which have unfortunately put Bayside Council's reputation at risk in terms of our care for our perception of care for the environment, even if it is not, the buck does not stop with us, unfortunately. I think often we do get blamed as a council for things that are actually beyond our remit. But what we can do as the government body closest to the community is provide information. And certainly I have provided information from the council staff directly to residents who have bothered to email, and I have posted it to social media discussions, but there's way more about this than I could possibly keep up on social media. And I do think that what this motion is asking for is a summary of the report available on the council's website for public information, gives people then a quick link to share, to allay those fears and to get that information rather than it being sent just to some individuals. Sometimes I say to people on social media, please email me and I'll get back to you directly. And they're like, no, we want it on the public record. We want to see it. We want it to be transparent. So this is about transparency. And whilst I do really hope that this issue comes, it is finished by the 1st of July, unfortunately, there has been numerous delays in this with this issue already. And I've already gone back to residents, it feels like numerous times, and told them it's almost over, and yet it's not over. And that is the reputation of Bayside Council that we're trying to protect here, and to actually make sure that the blame or the upset is not pointed at Bayside Council, and so to protect our reputation. So it is disappointing to hear that whilst Councillor Wada and Councillor Morrissey can get up here and ask questions of the director, they're not allowing the community to have that same access to information, because not all of those community are in this room, clearly. We are here to provide a pathway for our community to get the information that they want to get, and they have asked me to do that, and that is why I'm here before you asking for support for this motion, so that everybody in Bayside who has a concern about this issue feels like they can get up and stand and ask the Director of City Futures a question. While it might not be in person, they can look online and see what that answer is there and then, so that we're not keeping information just amongst a few. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm quite confused. The Director of City Futures has already indicated that he's got answers to every one of those 6 points, and they're going to be put on the portal. When someone calls me and asks a question and I ring one of the directors to get an answer, I call back my constituent and explain it. How can you possibly have every person going past this side and saying an explanation why the work's being undertaken requiring drainage of water onto the Lady Robinson Beach? Hello, it's 3 stories below ground, and we've got the, the bottom line is it's quite simple. The director has given his answers to each of the question.
I thought I'd actually done my right of reply. I'm not understanding the process here. There is a process.
There's two options to this. For the motion to be withdrawn, or for the motion to be defeated, one of the two. So make up your mind.
Okay. All right, that closes the debate. All in favour of the notice of motion, please say aye. Those against? No. I declare it. Okay, division's been called. Those in favour, please raise your right hand. It's Councillor Douglas, Councillor Hannah, Councillor Werner. Okay, those against is Councillor Souness, Councillor Wada, Councillor Souness, Councillor Naji. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to confuse you all. Okay, I'll walk that way. No, I was looking that way. Okay. Yeah, Councillor Curry, Councillor Morrissey, Councillor Muscat, Councillor Ferdell, Councillor Jensen, Councillor Naji, Councillor Wada, Councillor Sedrak, and Councillor Souness, and myself. Who's abstained? Oh, Councillor Barlow is abstaining. I declare it lost. Thank you. Next item, Councillor Douglas, is the jet ski buoys on the bay. It moved by Councillor Douglas. Do I have a seconder? Do I have a seconder? Oh, Councillor Barlow. Yeah. Yeah, Councillor Douglas, go.
Thank you. So Bayside Council has been using its resources to prevent dangerous jet ski driver behaviour on Botany Bay and Lady Robinson's Beach. Issues have been noted by the community in our council hotspots maps, and the proportional majority of incidents are around the Brighton Sands Beach. The yellow buoys used to mark jet ski high-speed zones are also currently the same as the buoys marking swimming zones and non-boat areas at Brighton Sands, which is leading to confusion and dangerous situations where jet skis come in at high speed to the edge and inside this non-netted swimming area. Council has raised this issue with Transport Maritime New South Wales at one of our committee meetings, and no action has been taken by Transport Maritime New South Wales to rectify the situation. That's why this motion asks for these things: that Bayside Council communicates to Transport Maritime New South Wales, formally requesting they install more safety markers along Lady Robinson's Beach to make it clear where jet skis are allowed to operate at high speeds. Noting in particular, the yellow buoys used to mark jet ski high-speed zones are also currently the same as the buoys marking swimming zones and non-boat areas, which is leading to confusion and dangerous situations. And noting also that the council has raised this issue previously and no action has been taken.
Next one is Councillor Sonis, your notice of motion. Asridge Laneway. Do I have a seconder? I'll second it. I'll second it because I know. Yeah.
So the little lane one I'm talking about, the one that comes out of the railway station.
That's right. Where my barber is. Yeah.
And part of the Spurway program, we're beautifying that laneway very soon. I think it's September, we're looking at doing some graphics and all the rest of it. However, we've been advised that the lighting there is private lighting, and the lighting's managed by the strata that owns the shop fronts across there. And then looking at limiting that at a certain time of night. We might want to look at providing light in the ground there, similar to what we've got down at King Street. And sort of obviate and get ahead of the race before it actually happens. Sorry, Councillor Hannah. I've got to start again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, you've heard most of it. So
Yeah, we heard it. Yep.
the question is that to provide safer lighting, it's a no-brainer, so to speak. Thank you, Councillor. And we look at how much it's going to cost, and if the opportunity is there to provide that as part of that program, then why not do it? The other thing I was going to mention, and probably someone will start screaming point of order, we noticed that we're putting bollards up down at, and it's a question I noticed that I've got, bollards up along areas where people frequent, and King Street's a very important one that we're rejigging, so to speak, and not allowing vehicles to go there and unload and all the rest of it. But there's a lot of other areas, and we can discuss this in the new council, whoever's around. If I'm not here, I'll discuss it as a private person, but we need to put bollards up in areas where there are conflicts between, and I've raised this some time ago, conflicts between people and cars, such as in shopping centres. We've done a fair bit of work around Cook Park and putting up those fake timber bollards, but where people interact with cars, we need to allocate some budget to that in the future and keep them very, very much separate since we're moving towards this al fresco dining experience. I've noticed there's a fair few places down at Bexley, down at Ramsgate and a few other places where cars can very, very easily get onto the footpath and do a lot of damage. So it's an opportunity for the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. I have to withdraw. Yeah, I have to withdraw the my second. The reason being is that my barber. Yeah, my barber. Yeah, no, just to be safe, I've withdrawn it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. So if we can put Councillor Cedric instead of my name. Oh. Yeah. And if we can, I just realised, if we can, I wanted to, before I put it, it's less than significant, yeah, just for, because here's my barber, everyone goes there, but as you can see, stop, yeah. Yeah. Councillor Jansen?
It just through you, Mr. Mayor, would any lighting treatments in the pavement affect the pavement artwork at all?
Yeah, I'll get you.
Through the chair, our expectation is that we won't be able to do the artwork until we have a lighting design. As I've said in my comment, we don't know yet where we would have to take the power back to. We would have to cut concrete. It would have to be done, I think, in conjunction with the artist so that the lighting was complementary to that. So we can start those conversations after tonight.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Mayor, would the funding for this be taken out of the Safer Cities Her Way program?
Through the chair, no, that program is fully expended. Once we have a costing, we'll have to come back looking at a source of funding.
Yeah, Councillor Cedric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question again through the General Manager. There's no doubt I'm fully supportive of this motion. We need always more light in these little alleyways. But the question is, in regards to lighting on the floor, is there an option that we don't have to light it on the floor? Can we use other, it has to be the
No,
floor?
no.
We don't.
Yeah.
Through the chair, council doesn't own the buildings on either side of the laneway or the roof. So it's an ownership question, and the cost of the delay in trying to get owner's consent anywhere else would make it very difficult.
No, no,
It's really the only
that's the
option.
only option. Any other speakers?
Just, yeah, I'm supporting. I think it's a great idea. It's packed coming through that lane every day for the train station. So the only thing we just have to be clear on for our communities. So the artwork is going to effectively would be delayed. But can this be funded through a quarterly budget review process? So we don't want to delay it. We just want to just crack on with it. But I don't want to. It sounds relatively simple to dig the trenches and put some spotlight down, in, but let's just understand the impacts. Don't say no.
Sorry. The no is, it's never simple. But we can't delay the artwork either. We have already sought an extension that must be completed by September. I think the end of September is the drop deadline. So we have to do it before that. Yes, and we'll come back to you possibly next council meeting with the costing.
Any other speakers? Can I just say before I put it, I've had a lot of positive feedback for King Street. That's been lit up, and I've actually spoken to all the shopkeepers there and encouraged them to open up at night. That's the issue. None of them want to open up at night except the fruit shops, but the other food outlets, I'm encouraging them to put an application to council and seek approval to have late night trading, because it's beautiful. Those that haven't seen it, when you go home tonight, just drive past and have a look. It's beautiful. Yeah, Councillor Sooners.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we've got to start thinking outside of the box and start using the word Brighton in every second sentence that we use. No offence to Brighton. No offence to Brighton. A few years ago, there was a conversation, and most that were here before will remember a former councillor that was very passionate about Rockdale, and not about having Rockdale being the known destination for $2 shops. So this initiative is something that will keep the place vibrant, alive, and we probably have to extend way beyond that and look at the other side of the railway line and do a bit of work there. Okay, what's the term? A little bit goes a long way. You need to start somewhere. We need to revitalise our shopping centres. Bexley North's one, Bexley's another one. I can't speak for the other side, and I don't want to call it the other side, but I frequent botany, and it's a great area, but I don't go at night, so I can't comment on the lighting and all the rest of it. But we have an obligation to make the centres more vibrant, and as the mayor says, to encourage shopkeepers to open late at night, to have people safe to be able to go to those shops, to have appropriate parking and all the rest of that. So maybe it's a start for the new council.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
All right, I'll
Mayor.
put it all in favour, say aye. Those against, no. Declare carried. Next item, notice 12.7, notice of motion, microplastics. Councillor Douglas. Moved by Councillor Oates, seconded by Councillor Morrissey. Speakers. Councillor Douglas, got the floor.
You know the saying, size doesn't matter? Well,
How would you know?
but when it comes to microplastics, size definitely matters. These sneaky synthetic saboteurs are making waves in all the wrong places, especially in the realm of male fertility. Picture this. You're trying to start a family, but your boys down there are looking more like they're stuck in a traffic jam than ready for a...
Oh, that's awesome. I've never heard that. I've never heard it.
Heidi, keep going. Keep going, Heidi.
Blame it on the microplastics. They're sneaky little things disrupting hormone levels and playing havoc with our reproductive systems. It's like they're tiny little plastic ninjas silently attacking our manhoods while we're busy binge watching Netflix.
This is so deep. It's so deep.
And if we don't nip this problem in the bud,
Keep
our
going, Heidi, keep
future
going.
might be less about baby booties and more about bottle caps. We might find ourselves in a pickle with our fertility rates taking a dive and our baby dreams left high and dry. If we don't act soon, our future generations might end up being more plastic than fantastic, and our family trees will have fewer branches than a plastic straw.
Very good, very good. Very poetic.
And it's not just us humans feeling the heat, it's our marine buddies too. Fish are swallowing these plastics like they're popping popcorn at the movies. And guess who's next in line to chow down? You guessed it, us. So now you're not only worried about your own fertility, but I've got you wondering about your sushi habit. At the August 2023 Sydney Council Coastal Group's Executive Committee, a report was presented about microplastic sampling sites within the Botany Bay catchment produced by AUSMAP. The AUSMAP hotspots allows the communities to see the average quantity of microplastics per square metre found in each location. The microplastic concentration in the Botany Bay catchment, which AUSMAP sampled, include one site which is a microplastic hotspot with a very high concentration in Cooks Park. A subsequent report about environmental and health impacts from rubber crumb from synthetic turf was presented to the SCCG Executive Committee just recently in June. So, after many months of consulting back and forth with the committee and AUSMAP, I bring this motion to you tonight. Asking that Bayside Council provides a report to the relevant committee as soon as possible in 2024-2025 operational year that provides an update about microplastic investigations and reporting in Bayside, provides information about what has and is being done by Bayside Council and what is planned for delivery in the 24-25 operational plan to address microplastics in the local government area, and what could be done by Bayside Council in the future to address the risks of microplastic if adequate funding was available. Thank you.
Councillor Morrissey.
I just want to add a point that we get a copy of the speech to. So, at the the reason I second it because it is something very important, and I think we all need to lose a little bit of sleep about microplastics in the environment. But what I'd like to propose to Councillor Douglas is that this is something that's bigger than Bayside, and that already clearly the Sydney Coastal Councils Group has done a report. Why don't we replace the word Bayside here to SS Rock and refer it to SS Rock and get all the councils involved? Because it's not only us in Botany Bay, it's also the river systems. I'm not going to go through, but there's a lot of plastic in the environment. So why don't we, as a council, we're a well-established member of SS Rock. So why don't we, if I'll propose this, councillor, in the absence of a foreshadowed motion, we'll try and the council refer this issue to, if we can rewrite it from the top, the council refer this issue to SS Rock. And then where council is, replace that with SS Rock. So an update about microplastics investigations reporting throughout the Sydney Basin. Right, let's make it bigger. Yeah. Information and what is being done by SS Rock and other rocks in the Sydney Basin to address microplastics within Sydney. Do you see where I'm going? I'm supportive of it. I think it's great. But if we just say Bayside, let's go and do reports, so what? Let's make it bigger. Coastal Council Group's already on it. Let's get SS Rock involved. So if you're happy to go on those lines, I think we can get some support.
You happy with that?
Okay. I just want to get a principle. Sorry, I haven't emailed anything. So you got it? Okay. So I'm going to do this from the floor.
Would it be worth also adding,
No.
No.
No, it's Rock.
SS Rock is very broad. Yeah, it's bigger than Sydney Coastal Councils. How many, is it 11? How many councils now?
Yeah.
11, there's 11 councils across the Sydney Basin, and there's other regional organisations of councils. So if we can advocate to SS Rock, then have them advocate to other councils, we can actually get this on the broader agenda for Sydney. Yeah, okay. So.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Okay. Do I have to write anything?
No, but Heidi moved it. You happy with that, Heidi?
Are you happy with the principles? Yeah, we'll get this worded.
Councillor Morris is the delegate and also Councillor Curry.
Yeah. So we can, if council writes, then we can then advocate and present it to SS Rock, and then on that agenda have them go to other rocks to,
Yeah. That makes sense.
As soon as possible. Yeah, just as soon as possible, full stop. Seeking a guide, what would we do? Raise concerns about seeking guidance?
No, number one becomes, SS Rock to investigate microplastics in the Sydney Basin. Or investigation. And then
Yeah. Refer the issue to SS Rock as soon as possible for investigation. Are you going to sort it? All right. Sorry, I didn't have anything written out. No.
Yep.
Please keep on driving around Brighton.
Anyone taping the game? Yeah, I know.
They're saying that they're not moving to the state of origin to stuff. They want to start at 6:30.
No, that's not. I'll show you the score. I can't tell you. No, I won't. But don't say. So simple. No, don't say anything. Yeah, no. We haven't got any tellies here. Next room.
Yeah, there's a telly.
So we can switch on and watch it.
How far to go?
20. All right. Everybody happy with that amendment? Okay, if that, I'll put it all in favour. Oh, yeah.
As soon as possible. Yep. Oh, what happened? So it's as soon as possible for investigation. So the first one is microplastic investigations and reporting throughout the Sydney Basin. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have Bayside in there. No, it shouldn't be Bayside.
Microplastics investigation.
Yeah, take out the Bayside.
We didn't have Bayside in there. Oh dear.
Oh, okay. We're going to miss the game. Yeah. Oh, do you want to talk? Councillor Douglas is closing the debate.
I just want to say thank you to Councillor Morrissey for scaling that up, because I think that helps to address the bigger issues about our environment, and the rivers and the ocean are all connected across the whole area. So thank you for that. I just want to particularly also mention that there's council's going to be releasing seahorses on Friday morning into the bay, and it's lovely to see the council working with the Gamay Rangers to protect our nature, and for us to do things like this, to think that, protecting the microplastics from us, but also from those seahorses that will live in the bay as well. Because really, microplastics is not just an elephant in the room, it's a sperm whale.
Oh, all right. That closes the debate. I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Those against, no. Declare carry. Next motion is Councillor Jansen, Library. Moved by Councillor Jansen, seconded by Councillor Fardell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not feeling too well tonight, so I don't have a ChatGPT essay prepared. I'm going to try and get this through pretty quickly. So this is about the re-establishment of a library volunteer program. I believe that council did have one before COVID. Did want to make a tweak in point 2 instead of, so this is about desktop research, instead of by the end of 2024, changing that to committee in August 2024, because I think there's probably some really good examples out there of best practice. So libraries do provide very important volunteering opportunities for the community. We have had a number of residents express their interest in going back to volunteer in the library. So not only can they provide opportunities for work experience, they can cover things like Duke of Ed programs, home library service, even assisting to digitise local history programs. I know that some resources need to be potentially allocated, i.e. Staff supervision, but I think it's a good opportunity. Library volunteer programs have also been known to provide opportunities for social networking as well as to retrain and skills development. So they do contribute a lot. We heard earlier tonight how important libraries are to our community. I think volunteering is just one more aspect of that. So I hope this motion is supported.
Yep, thank you. Any other speakers? If not, I'll put it. All in favour say aye. Those against no, declare it carried. Well done, Councillor Jensen. Next item is notice of motion, bus stop comments, commute waiting area, safety enhancements, 12.9. Moved by Councillor Jensen, seconded by Councillor Curry.
So this particular bus stop that I'm referring to is quite a significant changeover spot in Mascot. So it's located in front of Australia Post. So this is the only kind of changeover spot where buses from even Brighton change over in this spot. You can come from East Gardens, change over to Mascot Station. So it's quite a services probably about 8 routes in this particular spot, and there have been residents reporting that there are trips and falls in this area. The surface is a bit uneven. It looks kind of shabby for such a significant bus stop site. I note the costings included by the general manager there, so I would suggest an addition to this, that point 3, that options for improvements are presented to the August committee for consideration.
Yep.
Let's ask a question of the director. Was this in this bus stop? This is a huge bus stop with, I won't quote a number, but thousands of people, I'm guessing. Was this on the in scope for the bus shelter advertising program? Was this identified as a bus stop that would add benefit?
I have to take that on notice. There is an issue with permissibility in the LEP for new shelter locations with advertising that needs to be remedied through a planning proposal, which is coming up in July round of meetings. So we couldn't have an advertising bus shelter there until that's resolved. So yeah, I don't think those locations were finalised until that planning issue is resolved.
Yeah, potentially then noting that there's no pathway, but for the sake of not bringing another separate motion, perhaps we should add that it be referred to the bus shelter advertising company for consideration at the appropriate time. Is that?
Can we put that? Yeah.
Can we name them? Or we'll just use bus shelter? Yeah, okay. That this site be referred to council's bus shelter advertising, what do you call it, partner for consideration to fund improvements in future.
And the movers agreed to it. Okay, any other speakers?
Just
Councillor
a
Hannah.
question, Mr Mayor. I don't know this area that well, but I seem to remember some residents have raised the issue that there's no toilet facilities in this area. I don't know whether that's right or not. And, but, we probably can't do it as part of this, but I'm just raising it in the chamber now because it has been suggested to me, because so many bus routes do converge on that spot, and there's also changeover of bus drivers and all sorts of things, that, you know, it might be sometime in the future to consider whether or not toilet facilities could be put there. So I'm just raising it in the chamber, that's all, at this point.
All right. If no other speakers, I'll put it all in favour, say aye. Those against no, declare it carried. 12.10, Councillor Curry and Councillor Morrissey, Hooning on Foreshore Drive, moved by Councillor Morrissey, second by Councillor Curry. Councillor Morrissey.
Thank you, councillors. We've done such a great job with our advocacy, I think, and the council staff and all the programs that we've got in place to remove the hoons and deal with hooning. Guess what? They've moved to the boat ramp over at Botany. Now, the boat ramp... No, but we've done such a great job in curbing it along the Grand Parade and associated Bay Street areas. So I think it's proven what works to actually, but what we've done is shifted. So Foreshore Road is often used as a drag strip, and I know drag ship. I'm thinking ships there, and yeah, there has unfortunately been a couple of, well, it was before COVID, some very young children, P-platers passed away at the end of that as a result of losing control of their car. What's happening now, there's a huge car movement in social media. People are organising car meets, which I'm fully supportive of, getting out and about. But the problem is they're going down to the boat ramp and doing burnouts. The boat ramp is 24 hours a day. There's people coming and going with boats. There's fishermen, there's families, there's kids there as well. So while I've got no issue with people meeting in a somewhat empty car park to talk all things cars and vehicles, it's the hooning and the burnouts that are a problem. There is CCTV on site, and when I spoke to the owners, the operators of that CCTV, they weren't very cooperative when I suggested they proactively provide evidence to police. They said if the police ask for the evidence, we will provide it. And I said, well, you got things back to front, and gave me a reference number for future follow-up. I actually went down there numerous times myself, and as you're driving in, as you drive into a cloud of smoke, the hoons who are doing this, it's in what they believe is a deserted area, because it is Foreshore Road. There's no houses around, but over the other side, you know what? That's the Joseph Banks Park, and there's houses probably about 400 to 500 metres away, 300 in fact metres away. And in the still of the night, we get shipping noise, which is to be expected, but now you hear this constantly. It wakes people up. So don't need to revisit the issues that concerns for residents. My primary concern is the safety of people coming and going from the boat ramp, and also for the speed that the people driving along Foreshore Road. There has been deaths there, just as there has been on Grand Parade, and we need to advocate for that. So this, it's a relatively soft start, but to write to the powers that be, highlighting the problem and our concern, giving them some suggested solutions, and hopefully starting some dialogue as to what we can do better. Thank you.
Barry Manilow. Remember that? Yeah. Might be worth thinking about again.
Councillor Morrissey, yeah, that just reminded me. Thank you, Councillor. You can always play Barry Manilow music. That works. Yeah. All right, I'll put it all in favour. Say aye. Those against no, declare it carried. Next one is Councillor Werner. Your notice of motion's up.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Yes, so...
Do I have a seconder? I second what Councillor Curry. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So as we now know, our world is transitioning away from fossil fuels and moving towards electrification and more sustainable energy sources. Electric vehicles have a major role in this transition. There are more and more vehicles coming into the Australian market that are suitable for both private and commercial use. Many Australian organisations are already committed to replacing their vehicle fleets with EVs in the short term, and this includes the New South Wales government, which is focusing initially on transitioning its passenger fleet. This is not just to support the environmental credentials, it also makes good business and financial sense. For Bayside Council, transitioning its fleet doesn't only mean reducing its carbon footprint, it also means lower operational maintenance costs, and it means fueling our fleet using energy produced from the solar panels on our buildings. It means less air, noise and other pollution affecting our community, and it means better, cleaner working conditions for our employees. There will be challenges, as there always is, when introducing new technologies and ways of working, but the benefits will be worth it for council and the community. Developing a transition timeline will now allow us to start retiring our older fleet assets as they reach end of life and replace them where possible with electric vehicles. And now is a very good time to be on this journey, because round 4 of the New South Wales Government's electric vehicle fleets incentive will be opening later in 2024. This program offers financial and other support to councils who are being proactive in transitioning to an electric vehicle fleet. And as one of those councils, Bayside can demonstrate its leadership and foresight in working towards our net zero goals and preparing us for a more sustainable future. So I urge you to support this motion. Thank you.
Not. I just wanted to, through you, Chair, just query, when you mention fleet, are we talking about only passenger vehicles, or are we talking about garbage trucks and all that, everything that we've got?
I would say everything that's possible to convert to electric. I know that there are, electric garbage trucks. There are even hydrogen garbage trucks, but this is where it's possible to convert our fleet, but it would be starting with passenger vehicles. Thanks.
Okay, you happy with that, Councillor Muscat? Okay, all right, thank you. Any other speakers? Councillor Barlow?
Just a comment that I think it's a little ambitious to say that, you want a timeline. We are not the experts. Okay, you've got there's EV car drivers here. I don't fully understand it, but I have concerns. How are they going to actually power all their cars up? Are they going to do them every day? How many power, or whatever you charge with? So how many charging stations you're going to have in your depots? How are you going to, there's a lot more than just, oh, we'll buy that and it'll be okay. And then I've got the concerns of, what do you do with the cars, when they get turned over? Where do the battery, there's nowhere for them to be disposed of. Now, also, you're saying cut out electricity. I grew up with blackouts, but I was trying to find the jar and the candle that we used to have. It was in the cupboard somewhere. But it's more or less, yes, you're saying it's wonderful. Yes, we'll just ask the council to change all their fleet over eventually, a timeline. I don't think you can ask for a timeline. They have a budget to go to. When they look at a new car, we have, I don't know how many EVs we've got, but it's up to them to make that decision. It's not up to the council to say, well, we want a timeline because we believe this is the best way to go. There's still a lot of data there that I don't believe EVs are the perfect car and over the long term, because it's the fact of where do you get rid of all their batteries, and apparently you can't get rid of half of them. So I'm wondering, we've got to find a dump somewhere for the whole of Australia, and it might be out in the Strzelecki Desert or the Simpson Desert, which I've got photos of. So you've got to think about the further, to me, I can't support something it's a timeline that I think could be 10, 20 years' time, not tomorrow or the next.
I just want to just want to congratulate Councillor Werner for bringing a relevant motion to council that we have some control over. And in response to Councillor Barlow, we've got 4 years of the next term of council, so I'm sure that the electrification is going to move very quickly. And council have already indicated that they already have a plan in place moving towards this. So that's why I think I'm happy to support it.
Yeah, look, I understand the push towards this, and it's got a lot of merit, but I've got to say I don't agree that we should, as a council, be wedding ourselves to electrification of our fleet, because that in itself gives everyone the impression that we're going to have every piece of fleet electrified, even though we might be only starting with the passenger vehicles. There's about 10 forms of propulsion out there at the moment of motor vehicles, and we've got Ziggy Forrest, who's investing a hell of a lot of money into green hydrogen. That's being developed. There's a lot of other forms of propulsion, and you don't know what the market's going to be developing. I am starting to trip over electric cords that are being run across footpaths, just as an indication of what's happening out there with residents that are buying electric cars that don't even have a garage or a power point to charge them by. So they're running their electric cords across the footpaths, creating trip hazards. It's nothing necessarily to do with council's fleet, but I can't support this in its current form because I don't want to wed council to something when the technology is developing so quickly. There are going to be other forms of propulsion, and we may have a mix of electric, hydrogen. There's even a car that's been developed that runs on compressed air. There's biofuels out there that are improving all the time. The emission levels are coming lower. You know, there's cleaner fuels becoming available. I don't think we need to be forcing ourselves into a corner and saying that electric cars and electric vehicles are a panacea and a cure for everything, because they're not. Because what's going to be there is a mix. The other thing is with the electric vehicles, as you know, a lot of the cars themselves are not getting anywhere near the length out of the batteries. Some of them are failing after 7 years. There's only one place, as far as I know, down in Melbourne that can rehabilitate the batteries. They can only get them back to about 80%. The hybrid cars, for example, have been around for so long that Toyota has now nailed that so well that they're reportedly getting 250,000 K out of one battery, and replacement of that battery is something in the vicinity of $3,000, as opposed to the replacement of a battery of an electric vehicle, which is still in the order of $10,000. And what I would also say to you is this, that a lot of the materials that are going into these batteries, particularly the cobalt, is being dug up in the Congo by child labour, and it's been washed through and reputable.
Point of order. Can I just say, you haven't provided any references for this. I think, you know, it may be true or maybe not true, but I think one thing that's really important to note is that electrification is still far better for the environment than using fossil fuels. But yeah, I reserve my right of reply.
I haven't finished. Did you want to rule on that point of order?
I'll continue.
Yeah, I didn't realise I had to reference my comments, but I'll take note of that. Thank you, Councillor Werner. Anyway, look, that's my point. What I'm saying is I don't think we should be wedding ourselves to electrification. I think there's a whole lot of things out in the mix. They're all going to be coming through, and I think as a council we should have the ability to be able to mix and match and choose what's best available to us. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Morrison.
Yeah, I just want, what was referenced was the Toyota hybrid, and I just wanted to point out and congratulate our mayor, because that's his car of choice. So we're already well on the pathway. We've met that timeline. He's now got that's our mayor who's driving the hybrid vehicle at the moment. So we're well on the way to electrification. It's here to stay. Thanks for leading the way, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, Councillor Muscat?
I'm in support of this, but I also think we need to look and be reminded of what our financial plan is on the lifespan of the current fleet that we have. So I know from the waste management conference I went to, there was discussion on how many years a vehicle is used before it is put out to pasture and replaced with another one. So we need to be conscious too of the money involvement and our future planning.
Yep. Any other speakers? If not, Councillor Winner, you have the right of reply.
Yes, look, I think this is why we're looking at a timeline, is that, you know, we need to get as much use of the current fleet as possible. We're not going to, you know, this motion doesn't say to get rid of, you know, all the cars that we currently have. So it's definitely about a timeline for a replacement. And also the timeline would, I imagine, take into account the kinds of infrastructure that's needed to charge cars and so on. I don't think we have to worry too much about, you know, that there are other forms of propulsion, because, you know, when those become, when they come to market and when they become viable, then that's something that can be taken into account at that time. At the moment, we don't have passenger vehicles that run on hydrogen that are, you know, cheap enough, you know, for a council to purchase. So I think when those come online, obviously we can consider it then. But in the meantime, I think it's really important for council to consider the electrification. Thanks.
Mr Mayor, if I could just make a comment, I always knew you'd be good on a project.
The general manager's got to make the, read the resolution, please.
Helen, can I please have the resolution on the screen, nice and large? So the resolution of the confidential session is that council approves the purchase of lot 11 in deposited plan 5177 for the amount based on the market valuation from civic land property plus 10% up to and satisfactory pest and building report by way of either direct negotiation with the agent prior to auction day, bidding at auction on auction day, or direct negotiation post-auction for the property be passed in. General manager be authorised to execute all the documentation required to finalise the purchase of the property based on the amount agreed in the closed session, that the authorisation be given to the application of the council seal by the general manager, that council approves funding the acquisition to be sourced from the appropriate VPA, and if the property is successfully secured, it will be excluded from the rental assessment subsidy RASP policy. Thank you.
Thank you.